What is going on, guys? Hey, NATO, Haley, Johan, Scott Johan, Will Santiago Reefing, Craigers Reef, thanks and updates, Bubba, Christopher Williams. Welcome, guys. Time for some action. So how are you guys doing today? What is going on, guys? Get the music pumping, start out. Gotta mix it up a little bit every time. As you guys can see, that's the little clip of the wrasse that I just got. Exclusive Reef, how are ya? A little bit delayed, had to finish up work. So I work right until just about starting the stream. So it's usually like, finish it up and then do it. Yeah, I really dig in the new wrasse. He's super cool looking. And I decided to go with the female for whatever reason, because I like the black and white look with the orange outside. Chris Fishroom, welcome. Been waiting since 4:20. Oh, you're in a different time zone then, ma'am. For me, it is 3:01 on the dot. So the day is young. Test, some more tests for school. Ah, yes. Soldier Radions. What'd you get for replacement, NATO? What's going on, guys? Bit of dancing. I was actually before I hit start streaming. I was rocking to the music. If anyone noticed, it's the same song I actually used in that wrasse video in the background, so I figured it was kind of fitting. But yeah, no, I decided to go with the female wrasse because actually I like the black and white color and the orange on it. I think it's pretty cool looking. So, it's a good one. JW Aquarium, welcome, welcome. Nice tank, by the way, and good luck on the entry. I'm just going to throw it out there ahead of time quickly if you guys haven't entered yet. I've got 3 entries so far in the contest, so far the odds are pretty good. Now, hoppa Haley. So, today's chat, I wanted to get into a bit of dipping and acclimating fish. I know there's a bunch of different ways to do it. And for me, I tend to be very cautious. Did ReefDudes die? He's awake. Are you chill on there, Blad? Bleed break? He is. So there's a bit of controversy in some of the comments on my last video. So I decided it'd be a good topic to talk about today on how you guys kind of acclimate your fish, how you guys dip your corals, do you do anything special, that type of stuff. I know it's kind of a torn divide on if people, yes, you do need one, J-Dub. It's kind of a bit of a divide on it if people quarantine or don't quarantine. In theory, yes, I think it's a good idea. However, I do not personally. So I generally will do a lot of inspection up front. I know it's possibly something could sneak through. So far, I've been okay. There hasn't been an issue. But I'll sit there in the store for like 20 minutes and I'll literally watch. I'll just stare at the fish for like 20, 30 minutes. So I'll make sure there's no spots on them, make sure there's no cloudiness in the eye, and a bunch of different things. So that's kind of one of the biggest things. You got to make sure they're eating and make sure there's no signs of stress. Now, with the new leopard wrasse, I got this guy probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, actually. I was in there and got Adam to hold him for me. And so it literally sat in his house for the last 3 or 4 weeks. So that was, in a sense, kind of like a quarantining session. Even when we went back, same thing. I watched the fish for a while, threw in a couple pellets, made sure he went for it right away. So I think a huge chunk of this is making sure that the fish is healthy to start with. Now, so NATO, hey Clavey, hey NATO. So you tried curating your fish once, went through the copper and such, and put it in the tank, it got ick. So my feeling on a lot of this is ick in a lot of these different parasites are caused from stress. And I think if you're dipping a fish, sometimes people give it the freshwater bass or all the copper dips and you're moving it from tank to tank, I feel that puts the fish through a lot of stress, which is going to make it more prone to getting sick or ick or other things. So that's kind of part of the reason why I don't go through the full quarantine setup. I will take my time and due diligence up front. So this might not be the best way of doing it, but this is what I do. I think it's a good idea to quarantine. However, so far I've been successful with this technique. Hey, the shoesman. So yeah, so far it's been working out for me. I've never had an issue. But same thing, like if I'm at a pet store and I know all the tanks are connected and I see a fish that's having issues in another tank, I'm not going to buy a fish right now because I'm like, nope, not worth it. He could have something. But if it's, two of them in their own tank and there's no issues, you come back a week later, they're still happy and healthy, then that could be a good sign to bite the bullet and go for it. So that's kind of the one thing that I've always done. And I mean, I had issues in my freshwater days, but with my saltwater days, this has actually worked out well, and I haven't really had to deal with ick and different things. Now, yes, okay, so Christopher, hey Bubba. So Chris, I just throw my fish in after floating the bag. I never do an acclimation at all. So as long as there isn't like a big pH swing, temperature is one of the biggest things. So as long as you're floating them, I think is by far the biggest one. As for quarantining a fish, you got to have a lot of confidence that the fish you're adding to the tank doesn't have any parasites or diseases. So I think one of the things is just knowing what to look for, right? Make sure he's not stressed. Make sure there's no spots or specks or tolls or fin rot or cloudiness in the eyes. Like, just look for all those common things. Make sure it looks like a proper, healthy fish first. And I think that, to me, that goes a long way. What's going on, Cruz? All right, let me create a hangout so you guys can join me in the talk. Let's see if that one works. Now, as for corals, I do dip all my corals. So the only one I don't dip is deep water acro because I know they're very sensitive, and I've lost a couple in the past by doing that. Salinity, yes, they may have different salinity. So it's either through the drip method or slowly adding like a scoop of tank water in. Cruz, thanks, buddy. Cruz just used the super chat. Thanks very much, Cruz. Much appreciated, good sir. Much appreciated. I did drop the hangout if anyone wants to join the chat. So corals, that has been a little bit paranoid for me. So I've always dipped everything, even if it's from somebody I know. Maybe I don't give it a full dip. I'll just give it like, half strength dose and just for a minute or two, just something just to make sure you give it a spritz with a pipette or a turkey base or whatever and get all the stuff off of it. So that one I definitely do think's worth it. Cruz, if you want to jump in, I'm curious on you. Do you quarantine your fish? Do you dip your corals? For doing on the larger scale, I mean, for you, it probably would be more of a risk too, right? Like, I know like wrasses and all that stuff are natural pest controls, which can also make a huge difference. So, I'm kind of curious how the leopard wrasse is actually, if he'll be good for pests at all. I know my blue line cleaner wrasse is constantly picking over the rocks and everything in the tank, so. What do I use to dip corals? I use, what's it called? Coral RX most of the time. And I also use Revive sometimes. So those are the two I have. I haven't tried Bear. That one, I think it's only kind of in the States. So I do get that one once in a while. So which acros? Deep water acros. So like the Hawkins Enchinolata or some of those ones. The soft water, more low light acros, those ones are very sensitive to dipping. So a couple times in the past, I've taken out a coral from that. So those ones I don't dip, but the rest I do. Hey, what's going on in the Hangouts? Let me drop that up. All right, so we do got the Hangouts up. So Bayer I can't really comment on because I've never actually used it. Hey, Cruz, how are you?
Hey, doing all right. How are you guys doing?
Excellent. Happy Wednesday, man. Good to see you.
Oh, happy one. Yes, we have to quarantine all our corals. We put in what we call an observation tank system, and we also do that with our fish too.
Okay.
Once again, we're not in the business of fish, so we tend to not carry that much or quarantine fish that much. But yeah, when it comes down to quarantining the corals, we put in an additive. It's made by ReefDudes. It's called RTN Destroyer. When we're quarantining it, we're doing all the dips and everything else that stresses out the corals, leaches out all the, good nutrients in the corals too. It stresses the hell out of them.
Yep.
So we utilize a thing called RTN Destroyer.
Okay, I've never heard of that one.
Oh, yeah. It's by ReefGrow, ReefGrow.com.
Okay.
So
nice.
anybody who wants to take a look at it, it's called RTN Destroyer. And out of a lot of the colonies that we do, import in, or the ones that we actually get bulk supply of from one of the importers, or over there in the West Coast. Yeah, we basically dip and dose RTN Destroyer and let it soak in there while we're doing a lot of the other dips too.
Mm-hmm.
We utilize Bayer, in between. If we see any red bugs, if we see any other pests or any other parasites that might
So,
come in on a coral.
is there any corals, like for me, like I've learned not to dip deep water. Is there certain corals that you won't dip and you'll just use kind of observation tank instead?
Yeah, we won't dip. Like like the bubble corals and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
All the acroporas, even the deep water ones, we don't have any problems utilizing the RTN Destroyer.
Yeah.
We do see a little bit of bleaching, but I'd rather have bleaching than RTN.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because bleaching, you could always get the colors back.
Mm-hmm.
If you have enough minerals and additives and high enough nutrition, the colors always come back.
Yeah. No, that's true.
My first acro I didn't have good luck, but then again, it was just my first one. So if I keep trying, I'll eventually get it.
Absolutely.
But until now, I'm gonna stick to birds' nests and all that.
Yeah, well, take a look into getting the RTN Destroyer as well, and you'll notice that you have a significantly reduced amount of loss, especially in corals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Again, in conjunction with that, you have to keep your hydration high. You have to keep your oxygen levels good, because every time you add anything to the water,
I do that, but I don't know. It's just like people say, there's like no reason for it. It just automatically gets it. This is how I noticed it. There's a few pieces, like I saw like white spots on the bottom, and the tissue started getting eroding away, and then I fragged it, and then those frags died, and then so.
If you're saying there were if you're saying there were spots on it, that almost sounds like you might have had like a pest or bite marks on it.
Yeah, it sounds like that. But I mean, once again, one way that we also fight RTN, especially after you frag it fresh, and you notice that the flesh is like kind of coming off, is basically to super glue it down.
Yeah. Because
super glue isn't only just a glue; it was also utilized in the military as to wounds, so that they could actually close them up and you won't get any infection.
Works on humans and corals.
So I mean, you super glue lace fresh frag.
Yeah, that has saved me a couple times in the past where I've had RTNing and just make sure there's a good chunk of flesh between the two and snip it and re-glue it.
Yep, absolutely. So I mean, there's a lot of things that a lot of people or the newer hobbyists kind of forget about. Is you can utilize the super glue or the gel or whatever you want to call it, coral glue, to actually glue this back out.
Yeah, no.
This is a problem I have.
Go ahead.
Personally, glue, I can never find the right glue, so whenever I try to glue corals, they just fall off and irritates the heck out of them. And then I've had a few losses from that, and then so I just like place them and watch them just like grow there, and if they fall off, I put them back to the spot they were until they grow right there in that spot.
What I've always used like super glue gel, and I usually buy Gorilla Glue just from like Walmart or Home Depot or somewhere. And yep, Gorilla Glue.
Glue works.
Yep, the super glue. Actually, I have bottles of this all over my house. If you can see this one, but the Gorilla Glue Super Glue gel. Just make sure you get the gel though. I use that all the time.
Yep.
That's pretty much my exclusive.
I mean, all it is. Yeah, all it is cyanacrylate. That's it. It's different viscosity, and that's also what we utilize too. Is a different type of super glue. It's more for the industrial side, and I know that it's very, very hard to get outside over here because it's a little bit thick. It's a little bit thicker than the gel, and it actually sets up very, very good. Very, very well, especially on smooth surfaces. The runnier cyanoacrylates. I mean, I've run into situations where I freaking glued myself directly to the freaking frag plug.
I know, right?
I'm sure you all have.
Oh yeah.
Definitely don't get the runny stuff. The
That's why
jellier stuff, the thicker stuff.
It like glued on the water. It glued so fast I couldn't even put it on the rock because how fast it glued.
Oh, if you're actually doing that, the easiest way to freaking cure it is by dipping it underwater and letting it skin over real quick, as well. So, as you're doing the frags, get into water too, and the top layer will skin over.
Yep. Yeah. Another thing I'll do too, if I'm trying to balance it, I'll just dip my hand in water and let a few drops fall on it because the water will help kind of activate it quicker.
Yep. Absolutely.
Wait. So in a few months from now, since I just had the ick outbreak, I only have one left. He's ick free though. But in a few months from now, I have some fish plans. Would this be good to mix? I'm afraid they might fight, but will Clarky clownfish hurt Bang guys? Because I kind of like those two fish, but
you need to have enough. Yeah, you need to have enough room. That's all I have to say is you need to have enough room. They're in very, very tight quarters. I know that we've successfully kept them in about I want to say a 120, 150 type of system. Anything smaller than that, they tend to encroach on each other's, I want to say their territory, unquote, especially with Nemo's being, really, really asked down to fish. They're very, very protective. They will attack you. They will attack any other fish that comes close to, quote unquote, their nest. And you'll notice fin nipping and everything else like that. You'll see your fish kind of like how do you say it? Stress out, develop a lot of these other symptoms that they normally can fight and that they're resistant to. Such as white spot. But yeah, I consider white spot like once again, like I said on Rico's channel, it's like herpes for fish. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's like scurvy for fish.
Scurvy?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the vitamin C, the vitamin C part, yeah, I can see it, but I mean, that's where garlic always came into play a long time ago. Is that it wasn't just garlic, it was listen, and I've heard a lot of people say, and a lot of skeptics say that garlic's really bad for fish because they can't digest it. Well, I didn't feed them the clove. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm squeezing in the juice.
That's right. Yeah, I blended it.
Yeah, I mean, and in the end, I mean, it's like, okay, well, fish can't digest it. Well, that's great because I'm not feeding it to them. But once again, bacteria breaks it down. Bacteria is one of the biggest helps in nature, and it's also the biggest help in the reef tank as well. And that's why recently you've seen into keeping your biological bacteria, your beneficial bacteria, up high. And the only way to do that is treat it like an organism. It also needs more oxygen. Go ahead and give it what it needs: carbon dosing and oxygen. That's typically it. And all the other nutrients are already present in your system.
Okay, so basically what you're saying with the Clarkies, don't add any other fish with them or they'll like pretty much kill them?
They will pester them until they kind of like stick in, they hide behind a freaking rock or something. That's my experience. Go ahead. I
have one Watchman goby. So is that a problem?
No.
They're fine.
No, he's on the sand bed. He's on the sand bed.
The biggest issue, like most fish issues, if they're sick, is because of stress. In my opinion, almost every reason they'll get sick is because they're stressed out and it wears down their immune system. So if you have too many fish in a tiny tank, that could do it. Or that's one reason why I don't necessarily go through these crazy quarantining things and freshwater dips, because I think it's going to stress out the fish and then make them more prone to get sick. That's kind of my feeling on it.
That's why I don't.
Now that you say that, I just thought of a theory why my fish got ick. So, It's kind of stupid of me, but I changed my rockscape, and the night after that, I noticed the spots on the fish,
Mhm.
but they're dead now. So
Well, it's kind of
except
like
one.
herpes in human. Is when you're stressed out, you start busting out in cold sores and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's that I feel about white spot too. Is we notice that when a fish is stressed out for whatever reason, lighting, water flow, oxygen levels, whatnot, you know, once we see it start stressing out, it's not eating, it has loss of appetite,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so on and so forth. You know, it's like, okay, well, we notice these white spots coming back, even though we got rid of them for a long time, so it's not it.
Yeah.
So
In a
in the comments, someone's asking, will a cleaner strip pick off the ick parasite? I know they will pick up parasites. I don't know about ick
mine
specifically.
tried when it kept trying to get on the fish when they had ick, and it
Mm-hmm.
tried, but they wouldn't let them. They wouldn't let the cleaner
Yeah,
shrimp clean them.
yeah, it hurts though. I mean, it's kind of like an open wound.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so the involuntary reaction would be to, you know, flick their tail, get away, you know, because something's hurting them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, on larger fishes, yeah, the cleaner shrimp would be able to pick at it. The cleaner fish, I believe it was the blue line or something like that.
Yep.
Blue line wrasse. Yeah, those guys are good at picking at, you know, from larger fish as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, it comes down to the small fish that we have in our aquariums. It makes it a little bit difficult because the shrimp is, you know, larger than it.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm guessing this wouldn't be a problem, but for example, in a big, large, like maybe 5,000 gallon, 2,000 gallon tank, would ick like be a problem, or would it just be like the ocean?
depends on how you you know, depends on how you loaded your tank. You know, do you have enough, you know, organisms to actually outcompete and actually eat? And once again, there was talk that corals, if you have enough corals in your system, that they would eat the ick parasite too.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, they're opportunistic. Whatever the corals can catch, they'll eat.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I don't doubt it. I've never seen it myself, so it's a good theory.
Well,
And I said that a lot of coral tanks that are packed full of mature corals, yeah, that you don't see much ick in the system at all. So I mean, there could be some truth to that.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, you know, typically people that actually do have these huge tanks with huge coral colonies, well, their maintenance is impeccable. You know what I'm saying, of their system.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they quarantine almost every single freaking fish, so their husbandry is like, you know, top notch. So you know, once again, I'm not sure if it's true, but it does make sense that it could. You know, corals are opportunistic; they will eat stuff, you know, floating around in the freaking water column.
yeah, they'll get anything. That's why they have sticky tentacles in the first place.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. But yeah, going back to quarantining, Devin,
Mm-hmm.
definitely we do quarantine as much as we can. It's including corals.
Yep.
We do utilize a certain product that has given us a higher viability during the treatments.
That was for the RTN or something else, different one.
Yeah, RTN destroyer. I mean, it how do you say it? De-stressifies. I don't know whether or not that's a word, but it keeps the corals from stressing out any more than it needs to.
Yeah, I've never actually heard of that.
So,
I'm gonna check that out after.
Yeah. And I know that a lot of coral growers, a lot of coral stores utilize that product, but they're kind of embarrassed about it. I'm not sure why. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know whether or not it's just knowing that they had problems before or admitting that they had problems before. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think they don't want to scare people off from spending their money or something. Who knows?
But I mean,
as a hobbyist,
but if you found a solution,
yeah,
but I mean, if you found a solution to deal with it,
Right.
why wouldn't people know? You know, product or not, you know, even if it's a method, you know, such as bubbling, you know, why are people scared to admit that they're doing certain things?
Your guess is good as mine on that one.
I would be happier to know a store
Yeah.
is pre-dipping everything, because then that means I have less to worry about. So to me, that's a selling feature. It's like, oh yeah, we've already
Yeah.
done this. I was like, sweet.
You would think so, yeah.
Yeah, they don't think about it like that. They think of it as an embarrassment that they've had problems,
Huh.
and you know, like they had VD or something. But it's not. You know, it's not. It's just that, you know, your corals are stressed. You know, you're losing them. Why?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot is mineral depletion. You know, it's not. You know, they're losing a lot, especially you know, like electrolytes. When we're sweating and we're working out, we have to put those freaking electrolytes back in. You know, because we are stressing our bodies out when we're exercising.
Yep.
You know, it's a good kind of stress, but it's a stress.
Yeah.
Right? We're sweating, we're aching, our muscles are hurting. But, you know, is that really bad? You know, quote unquote, what they would call negative reactions, even though it's something positive. You know, it's a positive activity,
So
you know, such as working out.
a little bit of something now for the greater good for later.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, with the RTN Destroyer, you know, by Reef Grow, it's one of those things that claim that we use, you know, as elegant corals. There's you know, we have no shame in showing people what we're doing, and you know, hopefully we find somebody who could actually outgrow us and outcolor us, you know, because then that'll be the next step. That's what we're trying to push. We want other people to outgrow us, to be able to do more than us. Am I right, Rico? I mean, that's how the hobby.
I mean, at the end of the day, of course. I mean,
we
wouldn't be here
want
talking if it wasn't for that cause.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. We want somebody to beat us, take it to the next level. You know, we want to challenge. You know, we want to challenge people to be better than what we can do.
Hey, that's
And
how we
I can
advance.
tell you one thing. It's the only way to advance. You know, friendly competition. It's not cutthroat competition that pushes the hobby forward. It's the constructive, you know, the constructive criticism and actually people to show and share what they've learned. We haven't run into every single freaking problem that, you know, some of the newer hobbyists have run into, or we had, you know, or we forgot about it. Do you know what I'm saying, Dev?
No, it's so true.
And Rico?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. That was like when I first started. And, you know, I kind of forget these steps, especially when somebody says, you know, you help. And they're like, well, this is what I did, this, and this. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, that's the problem. You know, like they're overstripping their freaking water with activated carbon because they want to polish it.
Oh.
They don't even. I don't know if they know. Go ahead, Devin.
Oh, in my early days, I've severely hurt and killed a bunch of coral from using too much GFO. Like same thing before I knew any better, right? How powerful
absolutely.
it was. So there's definitely a lot of these things that are learning experiences when you first start out.
Oh, absolutely. And typically a lot of people, they buy the larger reactors, right? And it wasn't meant for the size of the tank. It's not like a protein skimmer, you know, where you could go over, you'll be fine. Actually, you utilize that GFO, and that little bit is still too much for your tank. Well, guess what happens?
Yep.
You're back, right?
Yeah, no, I've learned to run very, very low flow and not do too much in the reactor.
Exactly. So, I mean, live and learn. Certain things are scaled to, you know, this is for up to 100 gallons, you know, and this is up to 200 gallons. I would rather have more of the small ones, you know, 2 or 3 of the small ones instead of one large one, because now I have a little bit more fine tuning that I could actually do with those. You know, it's that redundancy, that extra level of redundancy that you'd be able to fine tune your utilization.
Even the ratings, though, I mean, if I have a 100-gallon with 2 fish and 3 corals in it, or a 50-gallon that's absolutely packed, I mean, it depends on how much media it's going to do. So, I mean, a lot of the ratings, too, are really situational dependent, which I don't think a lot of people take into consideration up front.
Oh, absolutely not. And that's one of the reasons why you also see an unbalance or imbalance in the PO4 and O3 levels. You'll see PO4 all the way down at freaking 0, right? and you'll see your nitrates like all the way up. And bacteria needs both to actually, you know, do you know what I'm saying? You need the NO3 to drive down the PO4 and vice versa.
Actually, in the
They consume.
last week's stream, we were having a big conversation about how Chato, it was with Reefing with Oral. Seymour, sorry. We were talking about how it seemed a lot of people noticed how at first you get tons and tons of growth and then it kind of stunts or dies off. And a big chunk of that is because you could be out of phosphates, but you still got nitrates, or vice versa. So I was actually, one of the MACTA videos I watched the other day was from the Pax Bellum, and they actually, there's one of the nitrogen or something they dose to promote that extra growth in the Chato. So it's probably what's kind of getting used up and stunting the growth.
Absolutely. And what we utilize, we utilize ammonium nitrate. A lot of people can't get that, but it's one of it's getting the nitrates back into your system, even friggin' urine. You go to the bathroom, you could actually, if you're actually seeing a zero nitrate level, pee in your tank. Have at it.
I have read of people cycling a tank with that. I don't know if it's legit, but who knows?
I've tried to get people to do that for years, and no one pays attention to me.
Have you tried it?
But I mean, you have to know the constituents. I mean, if you notice that one of the products in Flourish and the planted growth tanks, whatever, is urea. Urea is basically dried rat piss,
lovely.
pee, or urine. And I used to dose that to get my nitrates back up too. Even in the reef tank. Yeah, everyone's but it's got copper in it. I'm like, yeah, but it's like 0.00001%.
Yeah,
no issue. It's not going to hurt anything.
So you dose that to the reef tank, eh? I wonder if I still have any.
Yeah, I do. That's if the PO4 is high and you're freaking if your PO4 is high and you have sufficient bacteria. Otherwise, you're going to get a green hair algae outbreak.
Makes sense.
So go slow. Once again, you could dilute it. You could dilute it with RO because RO is pretty pure. So if you have some of that, dilute it, cut it in half, 50% strength, whatever, and dose it, and you'll see the colors come back in your corals. You'll see growth resume and so on and so forth.
Another thing I was actually kind of half debating with, so a lot of the people now running the algae cheatomorpha reactors, whether or not it's being limited by the oxygen or lack thereof in the reactor. So I was debating throwing a little bubbler pump in front of the reactor intake and see if it makes a difference.
It does, but the bubbler would actually be drawing in a lot of the organics that the Chaeto would be absorbing after the bacteria breaks it down into usable chunks. So I mean, it will. Yeah, it'll help. You'll start seeing the stimulation. The stimulation of the on the Chaeto would actually increase the Chaeto growth as well, and also the matting of it.
Okay.
You don't need a tumble. Yeah, one of the things that was a myth was you needed to tumble Chaetomorpha, and you don't. The Chaeto is is a floating plant. It was a mat plant when they found it in the ocean, and the thing is if it's floating in your freaking refugium, it's creating this mat. Then you've achieved what it normally does. That's its normal growth pattern anyway, to float.
I think the main reason for, turning it, or I think just to get light on the underside and hopefully get it growing from all sides. I think there's a theory for it, at least.
Yeah, it is, but it's more for, I mean, if you have a strong enough light, it should be able to penetrate all the way through. Through the mat. There's a point of limited return on the mat of Chaetomorpha, though. Where, it gets too thick. Well, at that point, typically what we do is we thin it out. That's one of the telltale signs. If I can't see light passing all the way through, to the bottom, of the refugium, then it's time to thin it out.
Yep.
And what we do is we remove the bottom part. You know how some people just cut a third of it, top and bottom.
So take all the dying dead bits off.
Yeah, the bottom part. The bottom part that's not getting that much light, we remove that. And the stuff that's still on top, vibrant green, dark green, we leave those, to actually keep propagating.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
But I mean, that's how we do things. And I noticed that when you don't explain to people how to harvest the Cato, that they're just hacking at it with a freaking pair of scissors. And it's like, wow, that's not how you do it.
I just pick a handful and rip it out.
But yeah, typically we grab the ones that's on the bottom that's not really doing so well. They're long and stringy and very, very thin, not the thick.
Yeah,
and
well, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's how we weed it. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like taking care of a lawn, dethatching it,
Mm-hmm.
but from the bottom.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Great way to do it.
So it's a preference. It's not a have to. We just noticed a lot better growth in the freaking Cato that way.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so do you actually quarantine all of your new corals as well? Like you put them in a separate I mean, for you, it's more large scale, expensive, fancy colonies. But do you still everything goes in its own separate tank for a month or two before it goes into the main system, or?
Yeah, it goes into an observation system. That's what we're always doing our dips constantly. Our Bayer dips. We also utilize iodine, the iodine dips with the Lugol's, the Lugol solutions. We also utilize, what is that? Betadine, just in case that there's any infection, bacterial.
Now,
And go ahead.
nope. Now, so do you give the coral a break between all these dips, or is it kind of do one dip and then a week later do another, or a day later? Like how? Because that's a lot of different dips that you do. So.
Yeah, we give them a break for about 2 to 3 days, and then we go back and dip again. Observe, dip, dip.
Okay.
Making sure that there's no parasites before we actually put it into our frag tanks or into our main systems.
Yeah. And then when you dip it, does it go back into the same tank, or would you move it to like a fresh tank, fresh water after that?
No, it's going into the same tank,
Okay.
the same observation tank.
Okay.
The thing is that the observation tank is still at the same salinity as as everything else, in the other systems at 1.025, 1.026. So you would find it less stressful to just keep them there. Do you know what I'm saying, Devin?
No, exactly.
So I mean, once again, I would rather have my corals slightly bleach out during the dips than to start RTNing and stuff like that, or to introduce bugs into our system.
No, 100% agree with you on that one. Let's just ask for trouble otherwise.
Oh, dude, we have like tens of thousands of dollars worth of freaking coral. We can't afford that. We can't afford infestation or an outbreak.
No, I'm with you.
Hey, I have a quick question for you guys on plumbing. I'm about to head out to Home Depot, and I don't know what's going to be reef safe to glue all my PVC together.
Silicone works.
Just any kind of silicone, even tank silicone?
Yeah, I mean the 100% pure silicone without the friggin' mold. But if you're actually talking about hard piping everything, the regular PVC glue would be fine. Just rinse it out really, really well. It is meant for potable water, for drinking.
It's meant for what kind of water? I'm sorry.
Potable, drinkable, drinkable water. So it will be fine. Just run water through it, soak it in a freaking tub of water or whatever, RO, and it'll freaking leach out all the freaking chemicals out of it, and it should be fine.
And it cures fairly quick.
Okay,
too,
so
oh yeah, it does.
My tank is up and running. So is any of it? It's all good though to use. I'm not really gonna have a way of letting it cure overnight.
Your tank is up and running now. Is this for like drain pipes, return pipe, or?
You can
Drain
do it.
pipes
while
and
it's up-
I'm
you can do
just
it while
completely redoing the bottom part.
You can do it while it's up and running. I've done it a million times. I done changed out plumbing, put it together, turn it back on. See you later.
So I'm gonna turn my camera on real fast. And flip it. I have some of this Aqueon silicone. Will this do?
Wait, do you say this was
All right.
for drain lines or return lines?
Yeah, it's gonna be for return and the drainage. Just this mess under here, I gotta redo. It's just a freaking wreck.
Yeah, for
utilize the PVC glue.
Yeah, you better get the PVC glue.
Use the proper glue. I would say you can get away with silicone for maybe a return line or something that's not under pressure, but anything under pressure, use the proper glue just to be safe.
So any of it's really reef safe?
Yep. No, just if you're in Home Depot, just I think 95% of them are safe. Reefing with O is just saying nothing with mold inhibitors, but
Yeah,
within
just stay away from the mold inhibitors.
yep. But just even if you ask the guy and
Okay.
just say it's for drinking water or potable water, then they'll steer you in the right direction. And if it's safe for
Yep.
humans, your fish will be fine.
I guess that would make sense specific for that.
Yep. And it should
Yep.
cure pretty quick. So I mean, if you can give it a rinse, otherwise even just have to let it cure for half an hour and it'll be solid. I know it's pretty solid after a few minutes, so I'll give it half an hour before you put water through it.
Well,
Yes, Philip's saying, I've glued a pipe and use it immediately after gluing. You'll be fine.
Yep, it should be fine.
Eric, Red Hot Blue Glue. Red Hot's the brand. I've used that one before, I think.
Yeah, Red Hot's pretty good.
Yep.
Melts the hell out of the friggin' PVC. Make sure. Oh yeah, make sure that you actually coat it all the way through too with the primer.
Yeah, if you never glued it, there's usually like a little wire with a little kind of puff ball on it, and just make sure you swirl both sides of the pipe. Primer first, and then
Yep.
glue, and then that
I
baby
see.
will... You literally put it in, and it'll start to harden. You got about 3 seconds to push it and give it a little twist to kind of secure it, and then it will
Yep.
be hard, and then let it sit for 20 minutes, and you're probably pretty close to cured.
Yep. Agreed.
So,
Yeah, I thought he was going to do it away from the tank. That's why I was adjusting silicone at that point.
Hmm.
Now, also on our freaking supply lines, we utilize flex hose. We utilize flex because it absorbs some of the vibration. You don't hear it throughout the rest of the tank.
Yeah, I have
So,
a
yeah.
chunk on mine. I have a chunk of silicone tube that connects to the hard plumbing at the top of the stand.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, it helps absorb the vibration, and you don't hear that thrumming of the freaking motor or the
Mhm.
pump in your what is it called, your sump area.
Yep.
So yeah, it kind of quietens everything down if you're actually utilizing the flexible type, or also silicone as well. It absorbs a lot of sound, especially from the vibrations.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
I'm so sick of this toilet.
Jeff was asking, any way to hide small scratches inside of a tank, or is big sandy mission all you can do? Yeah, no, you literally would have to drain the tank and use glass polishing. It's a huge job to try and get rid of scratches in glass.
Oh yeah. Not fun.
No, I've just as a note out there for some of you guys. For me, I've bought a used tank once and had a bunch of scratches and it drove me nuts ever since. So I've been paranoid ever since I did my new tank. I only
Yep.
use the razor blade to clean my glass. I refuse to use the scrubby side because
Yep.
that has a good chance of getting sand in it. Where with the razor blade, all you have is your blade and maybe like one or two little nubs touching the glass. So there's like 99% safe against scratching your glass. So my tank I've had for a year and a half since I upgraded it, and I've not had a single scratch on it, and I've only ever used the razor blade. So something to keep in mind, preventative.
Oh, absolutely. And stay away from the freaking silicone seams on the freaking edge of the tank too.
Yep. Yeah, go very very slow along the edges.
I've seen so many freaking blown out tanks because of that.
Yikes.
Yeah, freaking go right up against it, and freaking they're trying to freaking get the coral and algae that's growing behind the freaking silicone, so they keep on beating up the silicone
Oh, yikes.
until there's. You know what I'm talking about, Devin? Have you
Yes.
seen those people? They're just like freaking bulldozing it. I mean, what we use is we utilize a freaking toothbrush, toothbrush on the freaking corners.
Yeah. Well, I'll
Yeah,
usually
kinda
turn the razor blade vertically and then just kind of go up the glass and down it. Like I'll go very gently against the edge of it if there is anything, but for the most
Yep.
part, yes.
Yeah, stay away from it as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah, for
fast, and
those,
you get to the
for
edge
those
like
type-
slow.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's what how my buddy, one of my friends, how he blew out his tank is he just kept on hitting it with the freaking razor blade, like,
Oh,
haphazardly. He was
Yep.
cocky about it. He wasn't being careful, and he just kept on ramming it into the freaking side because he wanted it clean.
hmm
And he came home and his entire tank was on the floor.
Oh,
So that-
ouch. Well, I had a tank crash. It was only a 24-gallon tank that split
Yeah.
on me with the bent glass, but that was terrible. That sucked.
It was one of those biocubes, or
It
what?
was a 24-gallon innovative marine bent glass tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a bunch of issues. I mean, I ended up getting the new 30-gallon tank out of them with like just kind of the regular square corners. But yeah, thankfully I was home because that was literally the only reason I was able to save all my fish and corals. Like within 5 minutes of walking in the door from getting groceries, just boom, and water starts spraying out everywhere. And little dog's cage was beside the tank. He's getting so freaking out, and I'm sitting there trying to like run and grab duct tape, trying to like duct tape the seam of my tank together to slow it down. It was a disaster.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yep.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, that sucked.
Ugh.
What kind of blade do you
Yeah.
guys recommend? Sorry, Bub was asking. I use a flipper cleaner, and I've been really happy with it. I had a nano one for my little tank, and I got the Max's giant razor blade now, but yeah, it works really well.
I utilize a handheld
Yeah,
scraper.
I have one of those too.
Just
I
a
use for the black glass.
Yeah, just like the regular razor blade from freaking Home Depot too. You know, the utility one.
Yeah.
That works. But
Is-
once again, rinse it off when you're done and dry it off so it doesn't rust.
Mhm.
And you can actually use it more than once.
I probably shouldn't, but I leave mine in the tank. Make sure it's a stainless steel blade too. And if it is one you take
Yes.
out and dry it off, just it's worth inspecting the blade. Make sure there's no little rust pits or chips in it or anything.
Yep.
So,
Because it will scratch glass.
yep. If your blade's not
It has a
perfectly
chance.
flat.
Yep.
But yeah, so far so good for just leaving it in there. The flipper's been holding up.
Oh, I was going to bring up the high float glass, the low iron glass.
Yep.
Those scratch very, very easily, even with a razor blade. So be careful.
So
with
far so good, because mine's low iron, and so far with the razor's been safe.
Yep.
Yep.
Just be careful. Don't cut into it.
Yeah.
That's all I could say. I nicked it once because I was getting frustrated with a piece of coralline.
Mhm.
I freaking tipped the freaking razor blade and I freaking gashed it a little bit.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, but it was that real soft glass. Never again. Never
Huh.
again. I really don't care about having low E. You know,
I don't know. So far though, I have not scratched it that I know of. Who knows on the back wall? That's the one I hand razor blade, just because I don't have enough space in the wall to slide the flipper in. When I flip the tank one day, it better look pristine. But yeah, I know. So far so good. But at least with the flipper magnet's always at the exact same angle.
Mhm.
So that's
Yep.
rather than by hand
Absolutely.
to catch an edge or something like that.
Yep.
So
Hey there.
hey, how are you?
How's everybody tonight?
Excellent. How are you doing?
Happy
Pretty
birthday.
good. Pretty good. Keeping dry after Harvey. No rain down here.
Oh, that's good. Whereabouts are you again?
About 9 hours south of Houston.
Okay. So no flooding in your area?
Nothing. We didn't get a drop of rain.
That's
We're
crazy.
the lucky ones.
The crazy thing is like just the different like I have freaking fires by me. There's like flooding down there. It's like it's crazy lately. Mother Nature's not a happy camper.
Yeah.
Nope.
So I was listening to y'all talking about the corals and dipping and all that. I had a quick question on the corals. It seems I think I have lost one of my first torches that I got, and I noticed some little bugs crawling on it, but they're not red, and they don't look like the bugs that the ones that I've looked up online.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it has anything to do with those bugs because I do see them crawling around the tank.
Those could just be
know.
Are they like around your rocks, or if you pick up something, do you see them kind of scatter? They're likely.
Yeah, I see them walking around on the rocks, and I see them walking around like the live rock and stuff, and on my filters.
They're probably just copepods or amphipods, which are just
Yeah.
fine. They're
Uh-huh.
they're good little critters. Like your fish will munch on them, and they're kind of cleanup crew in a way.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I didn't know why this is one of the first torches that I got, and just little by little over time, it's been a few months. It's little by little got smaller and smaller and smaller, and so I realized yesterday that it wasn't really coming out a whole lot, and for a while there, I actually thought it was splitting. It looked bigger and it looked happy, and I was like, oh, cool, look, it's splitting into two heads, and now it's just sucked all the way in and doesn't want to come out, and I don't think that it's it's good anymore. I think I saw a little piece of it come out. So
Some
like
of
the little
those,
tentacles.
some of the kind of like scavenger cleanup clue type creatures, if they're, yeah, what Reef was saying, they're probably eating the dead flesh. So on some of them, like if a coral is dying or the flesh is receding, sometimes they will kind of munch at it.
Yep.
Okay.
So it could just be that too.
I had it up to an area where they really couldn't reach it. I have it. I made my own frag rack and stuck them on there. They really don't get. Every so often, I'll catch a little hermit crab or one of the other crabs climb up there and get on there. But for the most part, they leave them alone. But yeah, I didn't know why. All the other torches, the one that I got, remember I told you a while back that I had gotten a torch really cheap and it was huge, and I got it like $20 up in Austin, San Antonio area, and that one seems to be pretty happy. It's huge. It's looking nice. But these were the first ones that I got, and I had another little clear one, like a clear torch. Wasn't sure what it was, and that one doesn't seem to be happy either. I see the little tiny tips, like they're all sucked into the head. I can barely see the tips.
Yeah. Well, it may come back. Have you had any? Do you know if you've had any big alkalinity swings in your tank? I know that's the one thing that I've seen that has killed some LP. Well, not killed or hurt some of the LPS. Is like a big parameter swing.
I haven't checked my alkalinity in a couple of weeks, probably about 3 weeks. But last time I checked it, it's been pretty good. I mean, I just barely stuck my little my Blenny and my Goby in there after being in quarantine for like 3 months.
Yeah. So far, so good?
I threw the little guys in there. Yeah, so far, so good. They both look good. The Goby looks super happy. I mean, he just looks... But I don't see him eating a whole lot. I'm just kind of worried. He must be eating when I'm not watching him.
Well, as long as he's getting fatter, not skinnier.
Well, he seemed to be skinny from the beginning when I first got him. He looks pretty thin. He doesn't have a belly. But he's still in there. He's still floating around in there.
What do you feed your fish?
I give them a mix of pellets and mysis.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say mysis is the one thing that I find almost any fish will eat. So it's I feed it daily to my tank anyways, but a lot of the times I'll do that and just kind of spot feed or try and put in front of him, entice him to eat it.
Yeah, well, he pretty much goes and hides whenever I try to spot feed him. He doesn't want to be anywhere near. He doesn't want to have anything to do with humans. But and when I do, I'll like spot feed, my corals and stuff, and they're all happy and growing, and then I'll float a few in the tank for the fish because the Blenny's in there. I see him come out right away and nip at the little shrimp, and I just don't see him coming out going for it. He must do it when I'm not watching.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah. So I was worried about the corals and wondering what was happening there. I was hoping it wasn't those bugs because I looked up the bugs that I did see right away. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's a relief.
Yeah, they're probably just amphipods or cophopods, little guys. Google some images on them and see if they look similar.
Yeah, I did, and it's I don't know if you guys have these up north, but they curl up into little balls.
Little baseball bugs? Yeah, they sound like amphipods too.
Yeah. So that's what they seem to look like, but tiny.
Yeah. Google amphipods. I'll put it in the chat. That's my gut feeling on what they are, how you're describing it.
Okay, well that's kind of a relief.
Yep.
And I did look up that RTN Destroyer. You have to pretty much get it from Reef Grow.
Yeah.
I found a bottle of it on eBay for like $40.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So how exactly do you use that? Do you it goes in your tank, or do you just dip them with?
Yeah, you could do both. You could dip it in and then also dose your tank as well after it goes into the tank. Basically, it's a supplement. Basically, it once again, I'm going to utilize this word, de-stressifies your coral. especially if you frag them or you're importing them and you're putting them into your tank for the first time. One of the things
Okay, so it'll help all of them then.
Yeah, it does. There's a lot of good stuff in there. I didn't memorize what it is, but there's a lot of good stuff in RTN Destroyer.
Proprietary blend of all natural elements found in seawater, necessary for tissue repair and growth.
I can tell you one thing though, is that it does have bioavailable vitamin E. That's one thing that we don't have in the ecosystem product line. We don't have the vitamin E like the purified in that concentration, anyways. So you know how vitamin E repairs soft tissue, right?
I did not. But
it does.
Yeah,
vitamin E like stretch marks on a lady, during pregnancy and stuff like that. It suggests that you rub cocoa butter and all this other good stuff.
Oh yeah, like the cocoa butter. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it repairs the soft tissue and the elasticity in the skin. And that's basically all you're doing with corals is you're replacing and making sure that the elasticity of the membrane remains there, so it's not splitting. Because once the skin hardens, and starts getting really, really taut, it's kind of like pretty old baseball. It starts splitting at the seams, and that's what that rapid tissue necrosis is what we see. This RTN Destroyer basically, keeps the membrane very, very supple. Do you know what I'm saying? It keeps it supple.
Yeah.
It's got all the good what is that called? Once again, a lot of the elements that you actually need to prevent, skin splitting, and it also increases skin production. So you got, the best of both worlds working with you on that one.
Nice.
So that's how that was developed. How do you heal skin? How do you make it grow faster? And
good old
basically
vitamin
got
E.
applied to. Huh?
Good old vitamin E, eh? Nice.
That's one of them. That's one of the ingredients that does stimulate the skin from scabbing over and actually hardening. Because every time, if you notice your scar tissue, like if you get a cut, the scar tissue is harder, it's raised, it's keloided, it's very, very weak. So you get hit again in the same spot, it splits. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it basically helps with preventing that from happening in the corals again, over and over and over again.
Nice.
And then one of the things, once again, and I'm going to repeat this for Cleve or Cleve Taurus.
Clevy.
Yeah, Clevy. Is that when you're adding anything to your water, typically you want to bring up the oxygen levels again. Basically aerate your system one way or another, however you do that. Either increasing your skimming and drawing fresh air into your skimmer. And you might actually notice that your torch will actually come back out again. There was a number of times low oxygen levels actually caused the torch to want to go into a more or less hibernating state and shrink down because there's not enough oxygen to actually to support a larger organism. Does that kind of make sense?
I'll have to check into that. Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why we also notice a sharp decline in Asternia stars in a non-arid system. That they start, what is it called? They know their limit of population based on air, air, food, and water, right?
So that's why I have so many, all this bubbling. This explains everything.
But your Harlequins will have a field day with them.
Oh yeah, he's
so don't worry
in there.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, he's doing well.
So yeah, but yeah, aeration does a lot. Yeah, some of your problem invertebrates. Yeah, you're just gonna have to outcompete them. You know what I'm saying? Throw in the second one if their Sternias are doing too well.
That's funny.
And that's all we do in this hobby too, is how do we outcompete the pests? How do we outcompete GHA by having a sump and having Cato and having an algae scrubber? How do we get rid of certain other things as we outcompete them? It's one of the reasons why the ATM and all the bacterial all the bacteria that's coming out in the hobby recently that's one of the reasons is that people are assuming that the bacterial colony is healthy. Hello?
Yeah. What was that?
Someone cut
I
out.
thought it
on
was
the
my phone
spot.
for a second.
Yeah, you're a bit choppy there,
Oh.
Clevey. You had a very nice robotic sound.
So I mean that's one of the reasons why. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why like Fritz Monster and all that other good stuff, and then also the Dr. Tim's.
Mhm.
They always say replenish your bacterial colony with a fresh new batch. Once every couple of months.
Mhm.
It's just to make sure that the proper bacterial colony is thriving in your system
Just kind
and
of
not
rebumping
not
it up.
some exactly.
Hey, Cruz, you don't need no bacteria. Come on, man.
Okay.
No, absolutely right, though.
Yep. Bacteria in your tank? What? Yep. So,
Yep.
just for anybody
Just grow
new,
on natural air.
yeah. Just for anybody new, Live Rock isn't actually live. It just means it's covered in good bacteria.
There you go.
Yeah. And hitchhikers too.
Mm-hmm. And what? Sorry.
You got to watch out. You got to watch out for the hitchhikers.
Oh yeah, true.
No.
Yeah. Especially if you don't know where it actually came from.
Yeah.
If it's straight out of Fiji, good lord, that's where we got a lot of our mana shrimps from.
Oh really?
That we have in the store. Yeah, we got a lot of mana shrimps, and we didn't want them. Do you know what I'm saying? They're not the pretty ones; they're the dark black ones.
Ah, figures. We need the peacocks.
Yeah, so
So
yeah, the peacocks would have been nice.
yeah. Another fun. I got a silica-based air dryer. I'm gonna put on my ozone. To supposedly
nice.
having an air dryer makes a difference. So for the longevity
It does.
of it, everything else. So I bought just a silica-based one. So after every couple of months, you just throw the beads in the oven for 20 minutes and re-dry it. But yeah, should be good. It was cheap, $20-$30, and yeah, should do the job. It's a good size.
Probably about 40 minutes. Yep. Sorry about that, guy.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, neighbors asking if my son could come out and play.
Nice. Always a good day to play, eh?
Oh, every day. Every day is a good day to play.
Exactly. We need to work on that more.
Oh, yeah. As adults, we kind of forget.
It's true, you do. You get caught up in work and 8 bazillion side projects, and there's no rest for the wicked anymore.
Yeah, oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
man.
you definitely piqued my interest on that RTN destroyer stuff, so I'm going to dig into that some more later.
Okay.
Well,
No,
RTN?
Yeah,
I'm
RTN
gonna-
destroyer. It's
Good.
it's a very very so utilize it in the elegant coral systems,
Mm-hmm.
especially for fresh transplants and stuff like that.
Yeah. The first few times I've got deepwater acros, I had nothing but issues with them. From them dying and other stuff, and probably partially fresh cuts, but I know the deepwater is the biggest one I've ever had issues with.
Yeah.
Until I
Yeah.
learned not to dip them as
The
half
only
of it.
time I've ever had a problem with a deep water acro is not giving it time to acclimate to your system.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the
To be
biggest.
honest,
Yeah.
before you try to do something with it, letting it build up and get strong and stuff like that. Other than that, they're fine. But well, if a parasite or something.
Oh, one of the biggest issues also, Rico, is not letting it acclimate to your light.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Dude, they're like freaking blasting it with like this freaking really really high power light, and you're like, it's dying. No, it's bleaching.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give it about
Totally
freaking
agree.
6.
I'll-
It'll come around again.
Mhm.
It's gonna be stressed the hell out.
Yeah, they were my
But yeah.
original ones all RTN'd on me, but the current ones are growing and thriving. But the first couple I ever had were just RTN'd after like a day or two.
Gotcha. Those are the ones with the long coral lights, right? The really really pretty ones.
Yeah, I go for pretty
Nice.
colorful. That's my requirement when
Very
buying
nice.
coral. Pretty colors. Don't have that color yet. Done.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's how I picked up Setosa, actually.
Yeah.
Just the regular Setosa. I needed that fluorescent orange, like that real reddish
Exactly.
orange. But yeah, it's one of the most colorful ones underneath the UV light. But yeah,
I'm on my new quest is for I want a yellow SPS coral of some sort. I don't really have any much yellow in the tank, so that's next on my list.
Do you want the tips yellow or do you want the entire freaking thing yellow?
Mainly the entire thing, but like something nice and bright. I know, still on the hunt.
Well, I know that there's some milliporas. Am I correct, Rico? Milliporas tend to come a little bit more golden colors.
Yeah.
I mean, you got your gold greens, you got your gold pinks, you got your gold reds.
Gold pink. Would be
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Milliporas are my
But
new
yeah.
favorite, so I'm in love with them.
Oh, they're fuzzier than hell.
Oh, I love it.
Fuzzier than hell.
I love those big polyps all over the place. Seriously.
Yeah, they're hairy. They're hairy.
I love it. I think they look so much cooler because they give you movement and kind of the structural bodies of SPS, which is cool.
Yep, absolutely.
I know one guy that has
Anyways.
a pink one, so I'm trying to get it off him.
Oh, the high metallic pinks. The high metallic pinks are like really cool too.
No, exactly.
Not too expensive.
Yeah,
Not
hopefully.
too expensive.
I hope not.
But anyway, guys, it was fun. I need to take care of my little guy. He just woke up, so
Okay,
he's
sounds
knocking
good.
at the window.
Thanks
All
for
right.
hopping on, Cruz.
All right, you guys have a good night. Oh no, not a problem. It was always a pleasure.
Okay.
Love you guys.
You too, man.
Oh, thank
Bye-bye.
you.
All right, bye.
Diver Down Reefer, what's going on? Welcome to the chat. So Billy's opening up his contest to Canada. He's given a bit of love. So if you guys haven't entered yet, Mr. Pipes has a good contest on the go. And Mr. Rico's, I believe, is still on the go too. So it's going to be contests all around lately. You still have your coral contest on the go, don't you?
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're not too far away.
See, it's coming. So Rico's got a contest. Mr. Billy Bipes has a giveaway. And I have one as well for a skimmer. So there's only 3 entries. It's only been a couple days, but 3 entries so far in mine. I'm hoping you guys will get lots more in there in the next little bit. Wrong video.
I gotta do my. You haven't reached 3,000 subscribers yet.
We're at 2771. So we are
Getting there.
So it was about 280 to go. So we were about 60 out of the 2 something. So it's gonna happen in the next probably 2 weeks. So make sure you guys get those videos in. I'm excited to see more of them. I love checking these things out. Hey, Exclusive Reef. So super excited. So if you guys, you've probably seen it by now, but it's the Somatic 60S skimmer. So make sure you guys check that out and watch the contest video because it's going to be good. Billy, did you get your video in yet? He said you're making it.
I haven't had a chance to do mine yet, but I am planning on doing that. Hopefully I can combine that one with my other skimmer for the new tank. For the
Excellent.
210.
New tank. You got a new one you're doing?
Well, the 210, remember I have
Yep.
my 72 and I purchased a 210.
Nice.
So I'm just waiting on the stand for that one to get everything moved over, and
So it's happening
that's
soon?
going to be a job in itself. But
When's
sorry?
is it happening soon, or is it kind of down the road project?
Hopefully within the next 3 weeks, but I still do need, hopefully in the next 3 weeks, the stand will be ready. And then I can start moving things over. But I do need, of course, the skimmer. I need, I have the sump. I'm working on the sump, making a bigger one that one. And I just need to buy a couple pumps. And I'm going to use the existing light that I have for right now until I can actually get a bigger one. And
Nice. You're going all
Go from
out.
there.
You just got into the hobby a few months ago, too, and you're already upgrading.
yeah, it's been what, 8 months, 9 months?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
and
bad at all.
I just came across just happened to see this tank, and it was like $1,300, and they were selling it for $6.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Oh, gotta jump on that one."
Nice. Hey, sometimes when the price is right, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. And I know it was kind of soon, and my husband was telling me, "What, already? You just put this one up?" And I'm like, "Yeah, deal with it, honey."
Yeah, I was bad in my previous days when I had multiple tanks all over the place. So now I'm down to 2, one big one in my little jellyfish tank.
Well, I'm just gonna stick with the 210 and my 65. I'm gonna leave it freshwater, so
Oh, yeah?
I'll just have the 2 tanks, and I'll go ahead and just sell the 72 as the bow front that I have.
Nice. Hey Asa, how you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
Not too shabby. What's going on
Good.
in the reefing world with you today?
Not much. I'm down in Florida. I made arrangements to buy some mangrove plants.
Mm-hmm.
I went to. I already said this before. I went to Carib Seed. Dropped by, took a look there. I've got friends there, and I'm going to try to look up Mark Weiss tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
We'll see.
Well, that should be good.
Yep. That's about it. Went on a one of those flat bottom boats they take out in the swamp.
Oh yeah.
Swamp. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Oh, right on. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I haven't actually been on one of those. I did see one guy actually a little while ago, probably like last year, for like a hovercraft kind of boat, just cruising around off the grass and stuff. They're kind of neat.
Yeah, I've done those too. I did that going across the lake in Japan or something.
Oh, nice. That'd be really neat. So, how's your tank doing?
Well, it's doing great. I got that curved chute for my algae scrubber, and so I should be able to put that on the tank once I get home, and then I can start stocking the tank.
Nice. That'll be good, eh? It's coming up.
Yeah. I got the that core pump, but I haven't installed that yet. The new one from Apex.
Yep.
So.
Is that one released, or are you beta testing it?
I'm I'm early adopter. Yeah, I'm on that team.
On the insider. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I really want to get that testing unit.
The Trident. I know, me too.
Yeah.
I was already trying to bug them, figuring out how I can get in that one.
Yeah.
I was in the first one for the ATK, then I didn't get in the core one, so hopefully that one will happen.
Well, you know what I don't know if this helped, but as soon as I got selected for the preliminary group, I wrote how I would use it without saying that I was going to use it.
Yep.
And I had I've described it on here before, so I won't repeat it, but I was going to have it ramp up according to an optical sensor, this, that, and the other. And I made the list, I think it's because I had some goofy thing I was going to try.
Yeah. Oh, it could be. You post that in the Neptune forum?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to start a thread on what I'm going to do with the Trident to do some weird stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's the key is to come up with some oddball application that everybody else is not using, or something that might present problems that they can learn from.
No, that's true. I think they want people to be as random as possible so they can kind of cover all those bases.
Exactly.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, let me know how you like it once you actually have a chance to use it some more.
Yeah, I will.
Actually,
hey, Devin.
Yes?
Hey, are you still using your that bottom part of your sump for a frag rack?
Yep. I am.
And you're still using the algae reactor?
Yep. Yeah.
Does it have you still pretty low on nutrients?
No, it's still doing pretty well. I actually did just swap the LEDs. I had warm white previously, and I think it was last week I did it, but I swapped it to the cool white, so I'm just experimenting with different spectrums on it. But it's still working, still growing pretty well.
So you're not going to try the red and deep violet?
That'll be next.
Yeah.
That's actually what I'm using right now, like the hydroponics lights.
Yep.
Yeah.
How's it working for you?
I mean, So far, so good, but it's only been up and running for about a month, so
Mm-hmm.
it's
Nice.
a short window of time to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you have to start them down low and then ramp them up. Otherwise, you'll see if you see a dead spot in the center, that's usually a result of it starting out too bright.
Mm-hmm. When I had
Yeah, mine did so much different.
okay.
Go ahead, Devin.
When I had the previous Fuge, that 90-watt Fuge light, it was mainly the red with the bits of blue mixed in, and that thing grew Chaeto like crazy.
Yeah.
So I do know that Spectrum does work. So partially I had the other strips laying around the house, and I had ordered the other strips, so that's kind of why I just started with those ones. But I'm basically letting one run on it for like 6 weeks or so, then just change it to a new strip just for fun and seeing if I can notice a difference in growth.
Yeah.
Partially for fun, but so far they both work. Which one works better? I mean, the jury's still out.
Yeah.
So.
What
Cool.
tank do you have, Devin? Is it a Red Sea series?
It is a custom one. I probably would have went with the Red Sea Peninsula if they had it at the time, but they didn't, so I got one custom made.
How much did it run
I'm
you?
having issues on
Expensive.
my sump section. There's no room in there.
Yeah.
I'm running an algae reactor like you.
Yeah, I put mine purposely, like I mounted it horizontally along the back of the sump just to make extra space. Yeah.
How did you mount it?
I 3D printed some brackets, and then it sits on the edge of the sump just inside of the tank. So I custom made a few brackets to do it.
And what reactor are you using?
Old Vertex reactor.
Nice.
It is like 1RU1 or something. Can't remember what the model number was off of it. But where's my phone? Probably have a photo of it on here in my sump, and I'll show you.
I was just curious if I was lucky enough if it was the same that I had, then I'd be like, hey.
Which one do you have?
Printers, we get their profile.
Which one do you have on yours?
I got the two little fishies, the 550.
Okay. Yeah. So if you're watching the YouTube chat, see if that shows up on the web camera.
I'm driving. It's hard to follow. I'm not on the YouTube
Okay.
app right now.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. Okay. Yeah, I'll show you later. But it's yeah, it works pretty well. Or I'll post a photo in the Facebook group. But yeah, I took the little Vertex one and I just adapted the pipes to work with my manifold. And yeah, so far it's been working very well. It's kind of my solution. I didn't trust putting the LED light strips underwater. So yeah, exactly. And I had no other room in my stand, so it was the only solution that really worked for me to sneak it in there somewhere. But yeah, no, so far so good. It's working. There's a bit of a air gap along the top, which I don't know if that's good or bad for it, helping with the extra air in there. But so far it seems to be working pretty well.
So what do you have lighting your frag section then? What kind of light?
I have a Radeon XR15 in there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, a little overkill, but I wanted to match my main display tank so that I can just move stuff around and nothing's going to shock it. Or
Yeah, I was thinking about doing something similar. I have Tesla 360s, and I was thinking about getting either an 880 or a Tesla 160 if I were going to do the same thing. Just so, for that same reason, you're never really changing spectrum or shocking it.
Can't
Yeah.
wait till I go to ReefDudes.
Exactly. Oh, it's going to be good.
Cannot wait.
It's going to be good. You can copy my schedule when you get Enrico. Tried and true.
Oh yeah. Oh, I would definitely take it from you. For sure.
Actually, one good thing I noticed today when I was staring at the millies in my tank that I'm obsessed with, that blue one. It's already like I've only 2 weeks ago I got it, but I can already start to see it starting to encrust over the epoxy, the coral epoxy. So it's a good sign.
Oh, how many weeks? How many weeks?
I don't know. Let me look when I uploaded that video because I did it within a day or two. But it was, unless it was longer. Where is it? New coral. 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so 2 weeks. I'm already starting.
That's about that. Yeah, within a week to 2 weeks, you should start seeing encrusting over glue and stuff. So that's good. That's good.
Yeah, so it's a good sign. Made me happy when I noticed that yesterday when I was taking some photos of the tank.
That's definitely a good sign, dude.
Yeah.
So.
Nick, you need to get a new phone or computer. The link never works for you, but it works for everyone else's in the chat. I don't know what it is. My Hangout links are like cursed for him. I think this is
My
an
wife took my
excuse.
phone. Speaking of phone, she took my phone.
That's nice of her.
I know, right?
Yep.
What's
Do any
going
of you
on?
guys run
So,
UVs on your system?
What's that, sorry, Robert?
what's that?
Do any of you guys run a UV on your system?
No.
Nope. I only to make my corals fluoresce. No, I've never used a UV sterilizer on my tank.
I'm considering it just for like extra water clarity,
Mm-hmm.
but I've heard a lot as far as just it like screwing with the cycle of copepods and amphipods.
Well, it doesn't discriminate the good or the bad.
Mm-hmm.
So
I hear you.
you can get a low watt one that really ain't going to kill much, just for like green water, or, but I think if you set it up right, and if you want to every once in a great blue moon, like I do, more for chemical warfare than clarity,
Mm-hmm.
run 72 hours or so, some
Just a
carbon on the
traverse.
system, and take it back off every once in a
Oh,
great blue
carbon.
moon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do that as well. I don't use it permanently, but just kind of as a quick fix.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm thinking about getting one for the coral, the farm out in the garage, zooplankton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not to run on the system itself, but the stuff that's coming out of the system that goes to the farm, so that I don't cross pollinate. Yeah, I don't want to screw with the stuff that's in the tank. This is just maybe 6 gallons a day would go through this system, and then it would be replenished with whatever I'm growing.
What are you growing
Oh,
in
you're
there,
gonna
or what do you have set
filter
up?
with the UV.
Then try the link. Try this link. Try it, Nick.
Did somebody ask me a question?
Yeah, I was just asking. You're gonna basically filter water from one tank to another with a UV light.
Now I've got like a setup for growing plankton out in the garage,
Like phytoplankton?
Oh.
and well, I'm thinking about. I've always avoided phytoplankton because it's they always crash, and that's not my personality to be doing all that cleaning. So I've been buying the paste, and I was growing pods and rotifers and that type of stuff. And I've got these tubes that I grow it in, and they're like 6 foot tall, 6 inches in diameter. And when I was growing one at a time, I didn't have any problems of getting cross pollination from the main tank. But if I start growing multiple cultures, then let's say rotifers could go into the main tank and come back from the main tank and pollute my pod culture, or
Really,
vice versa.
Huh.
So I'm thinking about killing everything that comes out of it, dead as a doornail, and then I might even be able to try doing phytoplankton.
Yep.
But that's a tough nut to crack.
Growing nano isn't too bad. I culture that one, and mainly to feed the pods that I culture. They're a huge consumer of it. They love that stuff. So if you do it, let me know. I can probably help you out a bit with that.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
But yeah, I've had the same thing where it grows awesome, then after like 6 months, it just all kind of decided to crash on me, and I had to restart it. But
well, if it lasts 6 months, that's doing pretty good. I'm working on a I'm a designer, and so I'm designing one that goes underneath the tank that grows green water, because this guy from Canada looked me up and wanted me to put it together for him, and he says that he keeps his running continuously, and he uses a UV sterilizer prior to the so I'm thinking, well, maybe if that's the key, then I might try it.
That's interesting. I was actually recently talking, might try this with a buddy's tank with a doser to dose out phytoplankton and then dose in like fertilizer once in a while, but also replenish it with tank water into the dosing and see if that will crash or keep going.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what he's doing is
Yep.
using tank water, and then he also doubles is just like a ATS. Basically, this green water absorbs the fertilizer from the tank,
Mm-hmm.
so he uses it for nitrate and phosphate control.
Mm-hmm. Huh. Nice.
That's cool.
I've heard of that. There was a big thread I was reading on Reef or Reef Central or one of the sites a while ago about nutrient control by dosing phytoplankton of it absorbing it. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, let me know how that
now,
goes. I'm actually really curious on
yeah.
that one.
Now this is just a side thing that I noticed, but sometimes you put too much carbon in a tank
Mm-hmm.
and you get an bacterial bloom, right? Like if you put vodka or something in there
Mm-hmm.
and it turns white. Well, particularly I had a problem with it because since I'm not skimming it back out, it would stay there for weeks and months,
Mm-hmm.
even though I stopped dosing. And so I put in some live phytoplankton and it cleared up like in a few hours.
Oh, really? That was from
Yeah, and
like the vodka dosing, that kind of white bacteria stuff that grows, whatever it is.
yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, well, it was growing in the water, so it got kind of cloudy, white
Mm-hmm.
cloudy. And that's usually if you dose that too quickly, you'll crash your tank.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they always say to start really slow.
Yeah.
And so I cut the dosage that they were suggested in half since I wasn't skimming it.
Mm-hmm.
And right away I got that white cloud, and it didn't bother anything because an ATS leaves your water saturated with oxygen, near saturation.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't afraid of killing the fish or anything, but it just looked ugly.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get rid of it. It was in there for weeks, and so I just happened to dose some phytoplankton paste in there, and boom, it cleared right up. And then about a year later, I put some in there, had a bloom in there for a different reason, but it was still the same bloom, and boom, it cleared it up. Now that's not scientific. That's just an observation,
Yeah.
subjective observation, but it worked.
No, that's awesome. No, that's good to know. If I try vodka
Yeah.
again, I'm definitely going to try dumping a bunch of live phyto in and see if it makes a difference.
Yeah,
So,
if you overdo it.
so I've never used the paste before. Is there any real like? Is it considered dead phytoplankton or is it still like
No,
live but not?
they have both.
Okay.
The dead is a lot cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Live is more expensive, and it only works with the live.
Okay. Yeah, that makes
Uh,
sense.
yeah,
I've bought yeah, because I tried using one of those live discs from Florida aqua farms to restart
yeah,
a culture, and yeah, it's
yeah,
still kind of weird to think it's kind of hibernated in that state and still able to grow and thrive.
yeah. I would imagine that all you really need to do if you do have a bottle of this live phytoplankton, all you just have to do is take it out of the refrigerator and put in 2 drops, and you're good to go.
Well, I dump in lots.
Yeah,
I'll,
yeah.
I'll dump in a couple hundred mils. Every like couple weeks, I just pour some out of my containers and just dump her in and feed a lot of the filter feeders and gorgonians and stuff. Love it.
What I'm talking about is like if you're trying to start a culture with those discs.
Mm-hmm.
It seems that it would be just as easy to just take a few drops of live phytoplankton if you've got it
Oh,
in the refrigerator and start your culture
yeah.
with that.
You want more than a few drops. You want it to be, I mean, darker the better to start. But yeah, no, having
Yeah,
live liquid stuff is much easier way to start off.
yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely on that one. Question in the chat. If I'm using a calcium reactor and don't test for calcium, doesn't the core line not use elk? So my calcium could be low. Your core line algae will use calcium and elk. It will
Yeah.
consume both. It's like a coral. It's like a coral uses calcium and elk to build its skeleton. That's essentially what your coralline algae is doing.
Um, it necessarily increase what calcium maintains, not necessary. It can increase only adjustments make small adjustments. It can't make large adjustments. You would have to dose. And that's why I keep 2-part on hand,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what.
Yeah.
Because when things can, whatever, cleaning or shutting it down for a minute, just the volume of my corals, not necessary. It's not going to be everybody's situation. But for me, being down, adding new calcium media, something like that, these corals drink. So it could easily drop a DKH within an hour with no problem. I'm not going to be able. I need to dose back up. So yeah, it can make small adjustments, but it's not really made. It's made to more sustain your parameters what you want.
If it's not right, you need to dose to get it up to where you want it, and then it'll maintain that. It'll keep it steady.
Mm-hmm.
You can't raise it using a calcium reactor usually.
Yeah, and if you do, you might be dumping out more. It's just going to mess with your system. You definitely just manually dose to where you want it and then find the happy point where it keeps it stable.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, does anybody know what the pH inside of a Destaco reactor is?
It depends on your media, not necessarily the reactor. But, yeah, that's a calcium reactor, right?
Yeah, and, it's got a float valve that keeps the CO2 at a saturation level, but it must have a different pH than the 6.5 that we usually shoot for.
See, I've always controlled mine with, I've always used a pH controller as kind of the backup, and then just tweak the valve until I had that perfect amount, would just keep it consistent.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
But
so I just, go ahead.
In my experience, it all depends on the media. Like, some media will melt higher, some will melt lower, so you just gotta figure out whatever's best for the media you're using. I don't know about the float valve thing, though. That's new to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think that Destaco has a specific media to work in the range that float valve maintains, because they don't check it. They must know that the pH is going to be at some point. Let's say 6.8 or 6.3, but whatever that is, I think they pick media that's going to melt at that pH. I'm not sure, but I think that must be what they're doing.
Well, actually, question on that. What's it called? I just want to look it up.
Destaco.
Destaco? It seems weird they're controlling it with a float valve, though.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. I mean, all you do is turn up the speed of the pump, of the flow through, but it's controlling the I guess it's controlling the CO2 via this float valve.
Huh.
If you look it up on YouTube, some guy made a homemade version, and he has a plain old float valve inside of the tube. The little trickle tube where the CO2 is. Yeah, it's got it in there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just Google imaging it right now, but yeah, that's kind of a interesting way of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll dig into that more later.
That's
curious.
That's considered like the super high end. What do you call it? Calcium reactor. But after I researched it a whole lot, I decided I like our way of doing it with a Cole Palmer pump to be steady.
Yeah, for me, I've always just found my safety net is having the pH probe in there to turn it off if it's too high, or vice versa. But and then once providing you have the probe, you can just make tiny little smidge of a tweak in it, and then just see what your pH does, and then eventually, it took me a few days, but eventually you got to that point where it was just stable, the solenoid never even triggered. It was just
right. So then your solenoid doesn't come on. I've got one of those Planet Tank CO2 controllers, and that they what they like to do is get it tuned to where that solenoid doesn't click on and off.
Yeah, exactly.
So that, it just makes it last longer.
Exactly. Then there's less risk of it sticky and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
No, great way to do it. Do you have a pH control on yours, Rico? If you're still on there. Yeah, he's still there. He's muted.
Yeah. What's up?
Oh, do you use a pH controller on your CO2 reactor?
No.
Mm-hmm. You just got the baby tuned in?
You got a CO2 controller, don't you? A Planet Tank?
I got a regulator.
Yeah. But you have that little black box?
Oh, for a solenoid valve?
A
solenoid valve.
It's like It's got a bubble controller.
That's the bubble counter and the
Yep.
solenoid.
Yeah. Don't you have a planted tank unit?
Yes, I do.
They're all the same, though.
That's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I like that one. It's a nice one.
Yeah. I actually ended up used to have the good old Milwaukee, the nice cheap all-in-one combo, but I ended up getting a small little compact one with a DC motor on it. That's worked pretty well.
Yeah.
But
the thing that's nice about this one is that instead of just clipping on and off, this actually controls the size of the bubble as well as the speed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be a whole lot more accurate.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Nick, I'm actually just looking at that link he sent me to the reactors. It's interesting how they use a float valve in it. Never seen that design before. Huh, I'm gonna read that one later.
Yeah. So it must be setting at some arbitrary. They must have found an arbitrary pH that it works at.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be interesting to know what that pH is, whether it's lower or higher than what regular media uses.
So you'd probably be restricted on your media then on that way of doing it.
Yeah, I would. That's my thinking. I don't know if I'm right or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because how do you get something that's just random? You know, it has a saturation point.
Yep.
With a float valve, it just must have a random number just a specific number that always happens to be, whether it's this side of the world or that side of the world.
Mm-hmm. Media details for the deco in there. Okay. So Nick said the media details are in there, so let me see if I can find it. Where all other calcium reactor designs use a solenoid valve that is controlled through a pH measurement, the Dasateco uses an EXT. Reactors use a simpler float valve in the dedication CO2 reaction chamber to create a constant state of CO2 saturation. Yeah, it's crazy how that works. Holds 10 gallons of water. It's a good chunk.
Yeah.
It's bigger than some people's nano tank.
Yeah, these things are high end. You know, they're out of Europe.
Mm-hmm.
They have some smaller ones, but they try to market themselves as being high end.
Yeah. Huh. That's kind of cool. Is there a better way than a regulator that you're using? Deco recommended a marble media. It looks like fairly big media in the photos, so what they're using.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they both accomplish the same thing.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. The thing that's nice about that unit is when your DKH drops, you turn it up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you do. You don't mess with the calcium. I mean, you don't mess with the pH or calcium or anything else. They suggest that you just turn it up or turn it down, one knob. You don't have to tweak it and get it to go to a sweet spot like a typical reactor takes a couple of days to tune.
Yeah.
This one you just turn it up a little.
It depends if you have a pH probe or not.
Yeah, but even with one, usually when you get a brand new one, it takes you a couple of days to get it tuned.
The only difference is between the carbon doser and JBJ, Milwaukee, whatever you want to use. Back in the day, you used scuba diver regulator. It's just the precise of the bubbles. It actually precision slice the bubbles. Like the bubbles are really uniform, but overall, I haven't seen a difference in between the JBJ or that one. So
right, but this Dasateco is like a whole different way of doing things. You don't have to tweak anything.
Well,
you just
if you had no pH probe, then the electric carbon doser for sure, hands down, would be a better fit. I mean, just on that level alone.
But my point here is though, with this float valve, you don't adjust anything.
Okay, so I'm looking at it right now in the photo. I posted the link if you want to check it out, because ReefDudes has an article on it. But to me, if you look how the pump is oriented, it's sucking water from the top of the chamber and pushing it down that tube on the side. Now there's a
Right.
float valve in the bottom of that tube, so that's adjusting
Yep.
what the water level is. So
That's
Well,
right.
if you're
that tube that's going from the top over to the second one, that's the way I run them when you're running the second chamber.
no
That's the effluent coming out of the first, going
no
into the second.
if you're looking at the photo where the buddy in the blue shirts behind it, you can see like the output of the pump goes into that down tube, so it feeds from top to bottom.
And it's the
And
float valve that's turning the CO2 on and off.
yeah, so there's a float valve at the bottom of that tube. So the pump speed, if it stayed constant, maybe it's because the CO2 pressure is making like more of an air gap in the top. I don't know. That's kind of looks like
What do
how
you
it's
mean?
working.
What do you? Okay, I'm looking at Jake Adams standing there.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Now look at
what exactly?
Okay, so if you look at the little utility pump, it's sucking in from the top of the reactor and pushing into that big vertical tube, right? If you look how the pump's oriented, it's sucking top of the chamber into the tube. And if you look at the photo below it, the bottom of that tube has a float valve. So assuming that pump is always at the same level, I'm just looking at it, almost looks like the input and the effluent line is at the top of that.
Well, one of those is feeding in. The other one's the CO2.
Yep.
So you got one of those tubes that feed in. The other one's the CO2. At the very top, underneath his armpit, goes into the second chamber. That is the effluent line.
Yeah, that one is.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. The thing is, that's the effluent line. It goes over here to the second chamber to bring up the low pH out of the first chamber, more contact time in the second chamber, so the pH rises before it comes out the second chamber into your tank.
No,
but see but the point here is that as the water rises and lowers inside that little contact chamber, the little one.
Yeah, the long chamber here.
Yep.
The little one that has a float valve in it.
So look
as the water level changes in there, it turns the CO2 on and off, because I had it explained to me that the carbon dioxide gets absorbed into the water according to this float valve.
Yeah.
So you don't pay any attention to the pH like you would with a regular unit like we use.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to figure out how exactly the carbon dioxide content in the water would affect the float valve.
You can degas the carbon out of the effluent if you want. I don't feel
that
it makes.
Yeah, no, that's not for that though. This is the same recirculation pump that float valve is what turns your solenoid on and off and controls your CO2 injection, and it keeps it at a constant pH. I'm just trying to figure out how the heck the float valve
to
trigger it on and off.
So if I'm buying one, can I pay should I pay the extra money to carbon dose for the carbon doser? Yeah, why not? If you're going to be running a calcium reactor, I mean, why not?
If you've got the money.
Here's the thing. Well, if you're in this hobby, obviously the money's out the door, so that's irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. The on and off, I don't know. Like I said, I've been doing it a long time. I never got into the on off. I think it's just another tool or another piece of equipment. Potentially failed. This one's built onto the skimmer, it looks like, right?
Yeah. So in the comments, Ben was saying the float valve gets pushed down when there's not enough CO2. So the CO2 in the water, like that keeps the valve up, and when the concentration drops, it lowers it just from the water pressure.
Yeah. So what happens if something got stuck in there? Because you can, I don't know, built up of anything, whatever. I don't know. What happened if dust from the media, as it's dissolving, gets pushed and gets stuck in that ball and keeps that ball from dropping or raising? That's what I would be looking at. And I would say that's definitely something that definitely could happen, just like if you don't have a good drip rate shy of flow, clogging the end of the urine fluid line. So there's I don't feel like either way it's whatever. You can set it and forget it and keep the pH pretty steady. If you got it dialed in right and, you know, without it fluctuating or whatever, because I do it.
Yeah, no, it did the same thing. It took me probably 4 or 5 days of tweaking it and just watching the pH until I had it dead stable.
Right, exactly. That for Phil. I would say that the electric carbon doser, I forgot, is also good for when the tank starts to lose pressure because it's feeding. The CO2 is being released out of it. You still don't have to worry about adjusting at all.
Yeah, until it runs out. Yep.
Yeah. So that's another thing.
So the carbon doser is the same thing as the planted tank. It's just like the planted tank is who makes it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're using it for planted or reef or whatever. It's just they'll do the same thing, right? Just dropping down the pressure and
it's just that the carbon doser is just more accurate.
Accurate.
But
that's the one
it's
that
a couple $100.
Yeah.
You know, so some people, you know, don't want to spend $200 on something just to be the Cadillac. You know, it is a Cadillac.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one that does super consistent, like precise bubbles, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Electronic. Whew, that is pricey, $300.
Yeah, you can get it around 2. You're probably looking at the remote version, but if you get the one that plugs right into the tank, it's more like 2.
Okay.
A little over. Unless the price has gone up because it's so popular.
Huh. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, BRS's site is $320.
Oh, yeah.
First site I clicked on was $299. I guess it's your regulator all in one, right? Because people spend $150 on a regulator, so extra $150 for your electronic controller.
Yeah, now you still need a regulator, but...
oh, that's just the electronic bit?
Just the electronic bit.
Okay, the one I'm looking at is a regulator, everything all in one.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Huh, that's kind of a crazy contraption, eh?
Yeah.
Bulk resupply is where I was looking at that one.
Yeah.
Comments.
It's definitely the way to go if you've got the bucks.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yep, no, I just used an old school one with a little needle valve and a little tiny screwdriver and just slowly tweak it until you got it to where you wanted it.
Yep. But see, one of the problems with the old needle valve is that it does clog, just like Rico was talking about. So you're always adjusting it. You know, week after week, you end up adjusting it. That's one of the reasons why those calcium reactors went out of favor, because you just had to tweak it so much.
Well, that's not, from my understanding, that's not an issue with the injecting the CO2, but it was more with the fluent. Your output drip would start to get restricted.
No, well, I think it has a problem with the CO2 as well, but with the new clippers that are in the carbon doser and whatever, you don't have that problem, so you can set it and forget it basically.
Just on that one note about the effluent, I know that I can get clogged up if there's air around it. And Rico's saying if he has a stream. The one thing that I always used to do is I'd have it in a drip cup so that it was always submerged and there would be oxygen necessarily on the output, and it was kind of a nice little workaround so you wouldn't have to worry about it getting.
Yeah, what I do is pump the water into it with a constant duty Perry pump, and then you don't have to worry about anything clogging.
You can also not use the needle valve. You use a pinch valve with a bigger opening, like a RODI or a one of the rigid tubing at the end, and use a pinch valve because it's a bigger opening. So you have plenty of time. You just don't do husbandry if that thing clogs up. So that solves that problem right there, just so you know.
Yep.
Instead of the needle valve. Needle valves are not that good. You should use a pinch valve to regulate that.
Hey, Frank. Yeah, I couldn't actually find a pinch valve anywhere. I just had a valve at the.
You can get it from BRS. They're on there.
But then they're a fortune to ship for me, anyways. But
Oh.
on the.
Well, ask one of your local stores to get them in for you.
Yeah, that's true. When I go back to calcium reactor one day, I'll try it. Hunt one down.
Where are you, in Canada?
I am.
Okay.
Yep. Already talking about.
Will you sponsor me to? Will you sponsor me to be a Canadian citizen? No, I'm just kidding.
You want to move over here? I don't think I'm allowed to sponsor anyone for 2 years. Because I actually did sponsor someone a while ago.
Oh yeah.
There's a limit. Yeah.
No, I'm about to draw my Social Security, so I need to stay an American citizen.
Yeah, nice. So Philip was asking, he was worried about the calcium reactor. Rico is able to run his wide open. Most of us can't do that. Is that a big problem?
Well, that goes back to you can run it slide. Here's the thing: you can run it however you want to run it. You just have to pump more CO2 to get the pH down. But then people are going to say, "Well, that's too much CO2 in my water." This, and that. But that's why I mentioned the whole pinch valve and using rigid tubing as your effluent line. Because that, obviously that gives you a bigger opening, so you won't have to worry about clogging. That solves the whole clogging of your line.
So I have a question. You're saying use the rigid. What else would people use? That's all I've ever used.
The kind of like the RODI, the harder stuff.
Yeah, that's all I've ever used.
I'm talking about the flexible, like the airline hose tubing for, like whatever.
Gotcha.
What is it? Like freshwater,
like airline tubing.
Yeah, airline tubing.
All right. So I've only just thrown this out there to anyone else in the chat too, because I know can be issues with kinking. I use RO tubing for everything. My dosing lines, through all my dosers, the JBO one, the Apex one. When I had calcium reactor, I used to use this RODI line for everything. Stuff's great.
And that's the thing. Don't over use what you need. Don't don't run a whole bunch and have it all wrapped up and trying to drift. Somebody on here actually did that and had Rob West Coast Reef did that, and it kinked, and he ended up losing corals behind it.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing: you can still run the RODI, then run a piece of that, get it open, slip it over it, then put the pinch valve and still a piece of the airline tubing on the other end and be just fine.
I'm just throwing out there as one bonus note. You can get the RODI tubing in pretty much any color, so you can make it look pretty.
Yeah.
Honestly, my original reason is because I wanted it all red to match my plumbing. Dual purpose.
It cakes up because it's calcium, it starts calcifying on itself. It's hitting there and
it's the oxygen where the fluid comes out where it starts to build up. So for me, putting the end of it in a drip cup completely solved that, just so it's not getting the oxygen on the edge.
Exactly. That's the other way you can do it too. If you want to put a cup in and, like he said, keep it submerged. So,
or just RO line's cheap, just cut off the end and every once in a while replace your tube. But yeah, submerge was my.
That's one thing I can say. I've never, in all the years of doing this, I ran into that problem.
Yeah. Nice. That's good.
I can honestly say that.
Excellent. L shape with a twist knob on top. Yeah, so that's what on my reactor, how I controlled it. It was just the RO fitting with the little valve that's screwed into the top, and then that's the output. So I just adjusted at the top and then let it flow at the end on its own. That's why I didn't really bother with the pinch valve or anything else. Nick's working on his sump this week. Better make it pretty, Nick. Get that RO tubing in there. Oh, yes, it is. So, my next little project's going to be to put that air dryer on my tank. See how that goes. Might have to get a couple little fittings for the end, but it should be good. Hopefully it lasts a while.
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea how long this resin actually lasts until it gets saturated, but we will find out.
So Phil, you're getting one? Are you still here? You're getting carbon doser?
Looks pretty fancy, Phil. Not cheap, but looks nice if you want to splurge on it. Which
Hey, Phil went through a whole lot to get his tank. He sold what he had to sell and got rid of things and put a lot of money in it.
nice. You know, it's a good way to go though. Like honestly, whatever. If I want to buy something new,
yeah.
I'm just like, what don't I use anymore? What can I sell to fund it? Like, if you're not touching
Exactly.
the bank account, if you're getting rid of something you're not using anyways to fund it, then I feel that's a great way to go. That's my strategy most of the time. Toy funding.
Yeah, I don't think they'll ever phase out calcium reactors, Nick. Nice try.
Yeah, it's trolling that one.
If they phase them out, or talking about phasing them out, then I would go buy as many as I can. It's going to last me the rest of my life. Which that ain't too many. You don't need a whole lot because I still have my original one that's over 20 years old, the MRC.
But
so
yeah, like even for me, like when I'm looking at calcium reactors, maybe I don't know any better, but I see you can see one that's $200 or one that's $800. Like at the end of the day, it's a recirculating chamber that you inject CO2 into and it drips it out. So it's a very similar, simple-ish concept, minus that crazy one we were looking at earlier. And they're pretty reliable. Like on a small tank, okay, I wouldn't worry about it. But on a larger tank, it becomes much cheaper and more economical to use a calcium reactor. So
even on a smaller tank, what do you consider a smaller tank? First, let me ask you that.
I would say anything.
The max size to the smallest.
I would say anything under like 50, 60 gallons. I wouldn't bother with a calcium reactor. I'd just dose. But I guess it also depends how packed your tank is, right?
Yeah, I mean something like that. I wouldn't either.
Yeah,
I would probably hand dose or just do water changes at that.
But
it also depends on how you set your system up though, as well. And they do got a nano calcium reactor too, by the way.
I've seen those. But yeah, it depends how packed it is. I don't know. I guess.
Shut up, Death Mage.
Gonna blow the nice. But I think if you're over, say, like 100, 120, 150, like when you start getting up to the bigger tanks, and that's kind of where the true benefit starts to come with the calcium reactor.
Yeah.
Even on my tank, like honestly, I can go either way. Like calcium reactor has the benefit of the trace elements, but I have my tank dead stable with a doser. I can have it dead stable with a calcium reactor, and I have both. I've tried both. So, but the bigger your tank is, the more economical I think it is kind of the biggest thing. And the bonus of all the extra trace elements and stuff that you get from giving the corals essentially what they're made out of, right? Because you're dissolving coral skeleton, so you're giving them exactly what they are and what they need.
Exactly. Yeah, they do make
it's kind of a zombie situation.
Yep.
You're feeding dead corals to your corals.
Cannibals, those corals. That's a funny way to think about it, but it's so true. But I mean, you can get those nutrients from trace elements, you can dose trace elements, you can use a calcium reactor. All different ways to get you there. More dosing pumps or one calcium reactor. Take your pick. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sure when I move my tank, I'll probably go back to the calcium reactor when I have more space for it. But for now, I'll probably just doser because I like my frag rack.
Right. Once again, like I said, A million times. It depends on what you got in your tank.
Mhm.
There's nothing there to consume or do anything.
Yeah. So
Uh,
Exclusive Reef is asking, how often do I make changes on my dosing pump?
you, when,
Probably. I'm gonna say maybe every month or two I might tweak it a couple mils up, just to count for growth. That's a good question. I don't know if I think I can actually look at my Apex when I changed it last. I have a spreadsheet. I'll see if I wrote down. Because I'm curious.
Hang out with your mom.
Huh?
You're gonna hang out with your mom.
Yeah, to do what?
You're gonna hang out with her.
Another good thing, guys, if you are keeping like a dosing log, I have just like a little notes field where I'll say, oh, up calcium by 5 mil or something like that. Like I just make little notes just so it's easy to track. Five. Oh, calcium reactor. Okay, too far back. But yeah, no, I'd say every month or two. Like if I notice a big swing in my alkalinity, that's kind of when I'll do it. I'll dose a bit to get it back to normal. And then after that, I'll maybe just, see what it is, wait 24 hours, figure out what it's using, then up it by whatever I think it needs.
do you just dose the alkalinity, or are you doing both?
Yeah, so I have alkalinity and calcium on the doser. And
Okay.
basically, it's when I notice a swing in my alkalinity. And if it's,
And then
a few
you make
points.
adjustments for both, right?
Yeah,
Is
so
that what you're saying?
exactly.
Yeah.
So I test alkalinity every week or two, ideally weekly. And then calcium I probably do every like 3 or 4 weeks because it's fairly stable.
Right.
And then if I notice my alkalinity is starting to go down, usually it's going down because stuff's sucking stuff away. It starts going down, then I'm like, okay, what's going on? And usually the first day I test it, Wi-Fi doser. I have a Jabo doser, which is a good old manual one, and I have the Apex one. So I guess that's Wi-Fi because I control it from my phone. But so if I notice that my alkalinity is trending upwards, downwards, whatever, like the first day, I'm like, hey, whatever. I'm not going to do anything about it. I'll wait 24 hours. I'll test again. Just in
Yeah.
case I made a testing error, or maybe then you can see if it's a trend, right? If it's still the same as yesterday, okay, then we know it's legit. Or if it's down lower, then the odds are it actually is lower. So at that point, I would probably, dose the 30, 40, whatever mil it was to bump it back to where I wanted to be. Wait another 24 hours, test again, and then I'll see how much it changed, and then I know how much to up my doser. So I don't tweak it very often, but it's usually once I notice a swing in one way, then it will take me a day or two to get it back
That's
to
what I
rock
thought.
solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna run, guys.
That's okay. So that's what I
See you later,
thought,
Sam.
Death Mage, because of the storm. Why Magna was like that.
Yeah, that probably put a big dent in a day.
Well, they were worried that it was going to hit Louisiana, and Louisiana can't take another hit like that.
Yep. Yeah, that's crazy. That's brutal. Mother Nature's not a happy lady lately. So yeah, because someone was saying too, like Reefapalooza seemed more packed than Macna was, but that's probably honestly the storms, hurricanes, everything else is probably a chunk of why.
Oh, it definitely. I had a funny feeling that it was probably just the fact that obviously the hurricane stuff. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be hard to leave if it's close to home, right? So definitely understandable. Although next year's in Vegas, so I'm excited.
oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you're going, Rico? You're going, right?
Oh yeah.
Excellent. Looks like that's probably going to see you there.
Huh.
Probably rope in
yeah.
a few local reefers and get a little crew going down. But yeah, it should be fun. Macna shirt.
What's up? What? Refill?
What's up, refill? What are we refilling? What?
Okay.
How long do you get out of your CO2? Or how big of a tank and how often do you refill it?
It's a 40-pounder now. I upped it because I wasn't getting a full year. Normally, I get a year on a smaller system, like the frag tank that's separate. That probably I might be able to get 2 years out of that.
Yeah.
Just depending.
I think I had about a solid year out of my 10-pounder, and I don't think it was empty yet, so I could probably get a little over a year.
Yep.
And then for just kind of comparison for maintenance, like for the dosing containers, probably every like 2 months I'd fill them up, my gallon jugs, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Me,
Yeah.
I wouldn't get that. I would need
You'd have weekly
the
fills.
40-gallon buckets.
Yeah.
Yeah, 40-gallon buckets would probably I don't know, maybe at 100. What is that? $100 or so, 100 something bucks for the 40 calcium and alkalinity together. If I did it that way, I might get a month.
Yeah, not very long.
Mm-mm.
We'll see. I think I'm skewed a little bit right now just because I have so much calcium and alkalinity, calcium chloride, and
Yeah.
Yeah, so eventually, one day, getting ambushed on calls. There. Yeah, close. There we go. Yeah, so, I mean, if I didn't have so much dry mix that I got for basically free or super cheap, then I'd probably still use the calcium reactor. But because I have so much of that, then I don't really care right now. It's not a big deal for me to swap between either one. So basically, when I have more space, I'm probably gonna go back to it just because it's once it's tuned, it is less maintenance and work, which is always nice.
Well, at the end of the day, that's what it's mainly more about. Well, outside of if you have a real huge system, like me, fully packed, sticks, but the real reason is not having to, play with things, leaving things alone, not have to worry about is your jugs running out or anything like that, so, if you want to know if your tank, take the weight and put it on the scale, have a scale net, nearby, put the tank on and you'll know when you need to change it out too.
Yeah.
But you got your,
yeah, that's true.
You weigh it, or you have like on Milwaukee or the JBJ stuff that has the knobs on it that tells you how much pressure and how much is left. You can.
Although I do find the pressure gauge stays very consistent until it's almost empty, then it drops pretty quick.
When it's so you'll know when that pressure gauge gets low. You kind of, after one or two times of watching and seeing where it was at and realize how fast it dropped, you'll kind of have a good set point that, when you should take it off or, have it refilled. Or just have another tank on hand so you don't have to worry about it. You could just hurry up, switch it out, and then when you get time, take the other one and go get filled.
Yeah,
and
true.
Have it sitting around until you need it.
True that.
That's all.
I sold my second tank down to one.
Yeah, I mean...
But yeah, no, that's a good point. 3 wraps. So there's 3 Reefapaloozas every year. You have to make to Trifecta. What is
Trifecta?
Trifecta. I have not heard of that one. Where's that one based out of?
Trifecta? The Trifecta?
Trifecta?
Yeah, Trifecta.
Nice. Should we do a Reefapalooza ticket giveaway on here on the channel? That's always a good idea, Ben. Always. People love giveaways.
Yes, they do.
Yes. So I'm going to have to make it to a Reefapalooza one day because you guys are talking it up quite a bit with me. Macna for sure. We'll see if I can sneak out a Reefapalooza next year. They should give a medal for the Trifecta. So fill me in on the Trifecta. Have you been to it, Rico?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You have no idea? Oh, you're talking about like you do something. You're just playing.
I don't know.
Oh, Trifectas, and there's 3 Reefapaloozas. Never mind.
There you go.
There we go. It's been a long day. Okay, send a link again. I will, 1 sec. There you go, Ben. Does anybody know public aquariums use gigantic aquariums, use calcium reactors? So different most gigantic aquariums are close to the ocean. They just pump in seawater. But I'm sure smaller tanks, they would probably use reactors, but I don't know, can't say 100% for sure. See you later, Philip.
All right, Phil.
But yeah, all the public aquariums I've been to have been, conveniently right beside the ocean, so they could pump in water in and out, which probably saves them a fortune on dealing with all the other elements in the water.
Yeah.
I do know that the guys like Caesar's Palace Aquarium in Vegas, they use calcium reactors.
Do they? Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Caesar's, that's the big cylindrical tank where the little animatronic show is, right? That one?
That
hey, Devin,
one,
how you doing?
Yeah.
and they have a
Hey,
bunch
Seymour.
of tanks in the back as well.
Oh, do they? Oh,
Yeah, you kind of have to, I don't know, find someone to give you a behind-the-scenes tour, and they'll show you all the little tanks they have in the back.
oh, nice. Hi, well, good to know. Next time I'm in Vegas, I'm going to have to do that.
Hey, ReefDudes, you were just talking about public aquariums.
Yes.
I think on Melev's Reef YouTube channel, he has like a good behind-the-scenes video of the Long Island Aquarium, which shows the equipment and stuff. So
Okay.
I think they use Power Quasar. But check it out. It's on Melev's Reef channel. I think it's worth checking out.
Oh, perfect. Definitely check that one out later. Thanks for that one.
Hey, Devin. So
Yep.
I'm actually also on the board of the Southern California Marine Aquarium Society,
Nice.
and let's give away those 2 tickets to Reefapalooza Southern California. You guys figure out a way to give it away, and then we'll make it happen.
Sounds good. Oh, that sounds awesome. Do you want to should we do a giveaway right now, or do you want to save it for another day?
I'll leave it up to you.
I'll reserve one of those winning slots. Thank you.
Will you be here?
Is it this year? For this year, you're talking about, right, Ben?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Here, how can we do this for everyone that's in the chat? All right, let's do it. So you got 2 tickets?
Tickets. Let's do it.
Okay. I'm gonna do a random number generator in a different window, and hopefully, everyone can do a guess. Let's say between 1 and 50. All right, so between 1 and 50, and I'm gonna say start, and whoever in the chat guess, and we'll see whoever gets it first wins it. So if you guys think you would be able to make it, I'm gonna say start and go.
Rico, are you making it out here?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure yet, but
37.
Yeah, October 7th and 8th are the dates.
hey, Nick, I already called that
Nice.
number. Get out of here.
Okay, I'm scrolling for it. So close yet so far. You're playing Guess the Number to win Reefapalooza tickets. There's been some close ones, but not quite there yet. Between 1 and 50.
What was between what?
Between 1 and 50. I'm watching the chat waiting.
27.
No one's gotten it yet?
No. There's been some very close ones, but not right on the money yet. Guess I could have made the gap smaller, but we'll get there soon.
42.
Nope. Oh, tanks and updates. All right, he guessed 43, and 43 was the number. All right.
Nice.
There's one.
Yeah. There you go. Congrats, thanks, and updates. Looks like you're going to a show, buddy. Okay, no more in the
All
chat.
right, so
no more.
Is it 2 tickets or 2 tickets for one winner or?
you guys figured that out.
I think you should, yeah, do it again.
Yeah, so 2
there could be
tickets?
2 winners. Yeah.
All right, okay, let's do it. So Tanks and Updates gets 1. Here, I'll make it slightly easier. I'll do between 1 and 40.
Oh.
Okay. No, I'm going to leave it 150. Okay, let me do a new number.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we got a new number. All right, so round 2, second ticket. Go.
Nice, Rico. Nice.
Yeah. All right, Al, get in there. You pick numbers between 1 and 50. Go, go, go.
Do we get to pick 2?
Yes, everybody. Go, go, go. You got to type in the chat, though.
Oh. And the chat, I can't do both at the same time.
All right, you can. 37, 30.
Okay, Rico got 1. He probably got it already, didn't he?
No, he didn't actually. Surprisingly. Some dedication.
Someone's mashing on a keyboard.
Yep. Oh, there you go.
27.
No, it's 39.
Who?
Rico's button mashing actually got it.
Yeah, sweet.
Oh,
All right,
nice.
so for the 2 guys that won, Rico, send me an email. The email address is info@officialscmas.org. They're still listening.
FC what?
It's official Southern California Marine Aquarium Society, so scmas.org.
That was scmas.org, right? It was officials?
Right.
Or official or officials?
So
Official.
info@scams.org, right?
No, info@officialscmas.org. Yeah.
Okay, official F. Okay,
S is in Sam.
right.
So that means you're definitely going to make it out here, right?
Oh, yes.
More than likely.
You're committed now. You just got a free ticket. Okay. I'm just going to just double check, Ben, that I got the right email in the chat.
That's it.
That's it.
Yep, there you go. Perfect. So, Rico, email, Tanks an update. Make sure you send him an email about that. You're going through Dad next year. Well, there you go. You got one of you just won a ticket, so just became half price. Congrats, guys. That was kind of fun. Yeah, thanks, Ben, for the random giveaway. That's kind of a fun random one to add in. It says you're typing too much. It makes you wait a minute. Okay, I'll see if I can turn off this anti-spam thing next time we do it. I guess Rico had a bit of an advantage since he has no blocks after the spamming. Yep. Good to know for future. Awesome. Congrats, guys.
All right.
All right, now. What's your email? So, Tanks an update. I'm going to paste that one more time for you. So, info@officialscmas.org. And that's in the chat, so you can just copy and paste that out.
Can we play again for airfare?
Good luck on that one, Nick. Yeah.
No, I mean,
So Easy Reefers in the UK, he's always trying to somehow get plane tickets out of us.
no, if you guys want to play or whatever, they can. So if somebody wants my ticket, they can have it. I get in for free. So
yeah. Do you want to do one more then?
Go ahead, man.
All
I
right.
just had to do it just to see.
All right.
I never win anything.
Okay. Well, congrats. Hopefully it was good. So Rico's given up his ticket since he's already has one, basically.
Yeah.
All right. Random number generator. Okay.
When
So
is this? The
Hold
ticket
on,
is for
what?
when?
Huh?
The ticket is for when?
This year.
Got it.
yeah. Okay. So what is it? October? You said 7th, 5th, 7th,
Yeah.
somewhere around
7th and 8th.
Yeah.
there. Okay. Perfect.
I appreciate it, Ben, for giving out those tickets, though. But yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Definitely appreciated. Okay. So
Nah, man, I'm not gonna do that to nobody. I just did it just for the hell of it.
all right. Okay.
You guys there still could be a winner.
Okay, hold up 1 second. I'm gonna see if it will let me turn off the anti-comment flood option thing. Let me find the option for it, because I know it cuts you guys off after so many comments. So, please stand by while I find the option. I think it's under the live stream settings.
Take all spam, Dev.
Yeah, letting the spammers in. Okay, live stream events.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna be there anyway.
Somebody's got to live stream it.
Yeah, well, like I said.
Okay, live controller. 2 secs, just punting through the settings looking for it. I'm pretty sure I can set it for just the stream, so. Oh no, it's not on. There is no slow mode on, so I think you guys should be okay. So, quick question. You guys in the chat, were you guys getting told you were sending too many messages?
I think it will. I don't know.
I don't think you...
If it's...
That's why I want to double check, because I don't have that option checked for slow mode, so I think you should be safe. All right. Okay. So, generating a new number. Do a wheel of death. Oh, that could be good too. Okay, done. Wheel of death. Who all wants in? Let me know. We're doing the wheel of death.
I actually won something.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, this is in California, right? So you gotta be able to get there.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So whoever wants, so AL wants in. If you guys want in, just say wheel in the chat and I'll add you to the list. Okay, so AL's in. Who else? Let me know, guys. New way to do it. Okay, AL, you're in. Navy Tomer, do you want in? Okay, Navy Tomer's in. Nick says he's in. Christopher's in. Nick, you got to get there somehow. All right, Christopher, you're in.
Can you make it, Clevy, if you win?
Okay, we got Philip.
Is she still in here?
She's on mute right now.
Oh.
Moderators can also, yeah, anyone can go in. I don't care. You guys are all, it's all a free game.
Oh,
do you want in, Clevy? Can you make it?
oh no, I probably can't make it in October.
Okay. All right. Do you want in, Sabella? Reefapalooza?
Yeah, Sabella.
Tickets?
Maybe.
You might be able to make it. All right. Tommy Lever's in. What am I missing? We are drawing for a ticket in October. Not Sabella. Donate to AA. Okay, so Reefer says he'll donate to Aquariums Activists, so you're good. You're in there. Easy.
That's
Reefer.
what's
up. Want to link me? Sure. So it's Reefapalooza, California, I believe it is, October 7th and 8th. So in a month.
Come on, Dave. It's a weekend. Come on, Dave.
Okay, so
Elizabeth?
so far,
Giving away tickets.
I know, right? Okay, so tanks and updates. Be on the wheel. Yes, yeah, you can be on it. You could win yourself a second set of tickets. Why not?
Well, hold up. Tickets. What do you mean?
For Reefapalooza in October.
What's going on? Where am I sending my money
We're
to?
drawing away for a ticket. You want in?
Oh no, I'm all right.
Okay.
I'm all right. Give
So
somebody else a chance. You know?
All right. So if you guys are watching YouTube, I got AL, Nav, Tomer, Christopher Williams, Tomer, Levy. Did you say you're out? Just checking. No, you're out. Okay. So yeah, ideally if you guys can make it, then jump in. We got Philip, Stin, Eric, Tanks and Updates, Mitcho G, Wheel. So you're in. Dave, you hate the wheel. You love the wheel. Do you want in, Dave? Nah, give him. I'll give them to you guys. Okay, so tanks updates. So tanks updates. Did you want in? Is that what the answer was, or you're passing on the second ticket? Okay. Yeah. All right. So if you guys are watching on the YouTube, I do have my little notepad list behind me. If you're not on the list and you want to be on the list, let me know. All right, Bubba. Bubba's in. Eric B, thumbs up. All right, you got 30 more seconds to let me know if you want in.
Which Reefapalooza?
October, California.
Is this?
You know what? I went to the California one. It's actually beautiful out there.
Yeah.
That
Nice.
was my first Reefapalooza.
Yeah?
Was in California.
Oh, nice.
So it was like the first time, my first experience. You know, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Orlando. Nice. That's what I want to go out.
It's for tickets for Reefapalooza Bay.
Do you want in, Bay? Could you make the California Reefapalooza? Tons of more comments on it. Aki TV, all right.
Aqua TV, there you go.
You're on the list. Get a flight. Okay. So, Bay, do you want in? Say yes or no. Let me know if you can. If you think you can make it, then let me know and I'll put you on. Be my first also.
You got Loke. Is Loke wanting in? AL.
That's near my birthday. There you go. It's a great excuse. Already going down. I'm good. I'll buy my own tickets. All right, B. You're missing out, man. Okay, let's do this.
Dev, you going? You going to the Reefapalooza?
No, I can't.
For me? Oh, Dev, yeah.
I would love to, but yeah, no, the whole I'm getting married, so I got Mexico trip and all that stuff to pay for, so it won't be till next year when I make it to some of the aquarium shows. So lots of stuff in the pipe for me the next little while. All right, so we got the wheel up. I got you, Al.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so submit. Get some suspenseful music. Let's try this one. We need some better suspense music. All right, so who's first on the list? Oh, one's out. This is like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or some kind of music.
And so please play the music.
Yeah, the music's on. Story stain. Dun dun dun. Let's try this one. Dun dun dun. Eric B. No, dun dun dun. Who is next on spinning the wheel? Oh, Mitcho G. All right. I almost cried. I gotta find some longer suspense tracks. There we go. See, this one is. And what do we got? Oh, AccuTV. Sorry, buds. Okay, another spin. And Philip. Sorry, Philip. Okay. Navi Tomer. Sorry, Navi. Navi Tom.
Narcosis said, add me.
Narcosis? Narcosis, you're supposed to let me know when I started this.
Yeah, it's a little too late now.
I know. I think I tried to add somebody once and it reset the list. Let me look. Yeah, see? Cancel. Wait. Save show remaining entries. Oh, you're lucky. You're lucky, Narcosis. Okay, I'll add you. You're saved because it actually let me. You're just this once I'll let you in. Okay. Alright. That's what happens when you're late, man. Oh, Karma Narcosa. I added you to go.
There you go. That didn't even work out for you.
I tried, man. I tried.
You cannot cheat the game.
You cannot.
Wasn't meant to be.
Nope.
No, it definitely wasn't.
The game knows. The wheel has no mercy. Oh, L. Sorry, ma'am. That is totally karma. Tanks and updates. Just one ticket for you, ma'am. Oh, Bubba and Christopher Williams. Who's it gonna be? Suspect.
Hey, Christopher, you're local, right? So you can definitely make it to the show.
Yep. All right. Let's see. And oh, there goes Christopher.
Uh-oh, who's left?
Bubba.
Sorry, I had to run.
Bubba. Congrats, Bubba.
Bubba and who else?
Bubba
and who?
Bubba for this one, then it was Tanks and Update, I believe, for the first one, right? So Bubba.
Yep.
He won?
Yep. Bubba.
Congratulations, Bubba.
Congrats, Bubba.
Congrats, guys. Send me an email so you guys can get your tickets.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for that, Chris.
We'll have it for you. We'll have it for you at will call.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, congrats, Bubba. And thank you very much for sponsoring that. That was awesome. Very, very kind, Ben. Very kind.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
The more the merrier.
Oh, exactly. I wish I could make it to this one, but next year I'll make it to one of the Reefpaloozas.
No, we've maxed out on the Canadians we can allow into the show. So,
I definitely gotta wait for a while now. Wait till that queue opens up again.
He said, "Sweet, can you please let Phil have my ticket?" I guess.
Mighty kind.
Yep.
All right. Congrats, Phil. Good show.
Devin, put the link back in so Phil can grab it.
Okay. So there is the Hangout link.
The email. It's an email, Ben. Yeah.
I gotta find that email again. I gotta scroll up and find it. Although actually it was info at, so I got it. So it was info at. All right. So I guess Philip now. Send an email to Ben at info@officialscmas. No problem, Eric B. That was kind of fun, guys. Thank you for that.
That was awesome.
That was fun. That was so random, too. Even more fun.
Yeah.
know you're
It's
gonna win
always
the
fun
skimmer.
to win and give things away.
Oh, I love doing these little giveaways. I think they're so much fun. I'm getting addicted to them. It's terrible.
It would be nice to win one that I can actually go to.
Yeah. Free tickets is worth making the journey. You're gonna win the skimmer, Frank? All right. So, okay. Which brings me to the reminder on that one. So far, I think I'm at 3 entries so far. It's only been a couple days. I know the last contest, I seem to get a whole skew in the last few days. So, but make sure you guys check out the Somatic Aquarius and get that video in for the entry for the 60S. It's going to be a good skimmer. And it's going to be a sweet giveaway. What's that, sorry?
I'm going to give Frank a run for his money because I want that skimmer.
Get in that contest. Okay, so when I started it, I think I was at 2720-ish, and I think now it's like 2770. So I'm guessing in probably about 2 weeks is when it's going to be. So get in there if you guys want to win it. It's going to happen soon. 3 weeks max. Likely in about 2 weeks we're going to hit that number. So that's when the contest is going to end. So.
All right, guys. I am here to save the chat.
Up close and personal.
All right, guys.
How's it going, Narcosis?
All right, guys. 101 questions. Straight to ReefDudes. Go.
Yes, no, yes, no, yes. Yeah. Okay, so, yep. So Phil's driving. Okay, yep. So make sure you send that email Phil, and you will be good. Official scmas.org. Remember that. And that's Southern California Marine Aquarium Society, to remember the acronym. Picture the prize. Here's already. All right, guys. So I do have to shut her down pretty quick. Tanks and update. You're the one that has to send the email, ma'am. So make sure you send that one in. Last time I'm dropping that one in. I am going to shut the stream down pretty quick here. I got to go pick up my lovely lady. But congrats.
Nice hanging out with you.
Yeah, it's good. It was a fun one today. So thanks. And big thanks to Ben for sponsoring those tickets.
Yeah, Ben, I should be there. So don't worry about that.
Rico, you're obligated to stream every event. So you pretty much have to go.
hey, you know. Long as I hit my room and board, I'm okay.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a fair trade.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
So, all right, man. Take it easy.
Okay.
Go get the lady. Thanks for doing the stream. We appreciate it. Thanks to Ben for the tickets.
Mm-hmm.
It's greatly appreciated.
If you guys enjoyed this, as always, hit that thumbs up button. And thanks everyone for coming out. And
I'm glad you said that because I didn't.
Yeah, I just thought about it. Yeah. Like it if you liked it. Smash that button if you really loved it. And if you haven't yet, get that video entry in and somebody will win that awesome skimmer. And if you haven't, Rico and Mr. Pipes also have contests going on. So there's all kinds of goodness to win right now.
Yep.
Oh, yes. So no slacking. Win yourself some awesome reefing gear. All right. Thanks, everybody.
We'll have to put on all those. Good night, guys.
Okay.
All right, night, Clevy. All right, night, Ben. Everybody else. Who else? Yeah,
yeah, everyone else is still on. Cheers. Have a wonderful night. Okay, see you guys later.
All right. Bye. All right, bud. Bye.
Cheers.